The following podcast contains naughty language and ridiculous situations. Listener discretion is advised.
Tonight we mourn the loss of one of the greatest and most prolific exploitation actors of our time, and probably of our parents' time too. Dick Miller was in a lot of things, and you may think just by seeing his face that they connected on his obituary and whatnot online today, you may not have seen him. But to quote my dear sidekick, Monster Zero, I would stake my life that you've seen him in more than one film. It's a really upsetting day. We haven't really had enough time to absorb it, but we're big fans here. So, pleasant journeys on to the next life, sir, and I hope that there aren't any fucking gremlins where you end up. Welcome to Trick or Treat Radio.
Zombies. You're listening to Trick or Treat Radio, starring the Deadites.
Welcome to episode 340 of Trick or Treat Radio. Trick or Treat Radio is a phantasmagorical spin kick straight through the heart of pop culture, navigated by the Deadites. The Deadites are the world's greatest electroshock band. We destroy monsters, we drink booze, we win championship belts, and we also eulogize legends like Dynamo just did. Nice job.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I wouldn't say I'm good at it, but you would think that I'd be a fucking expert in the time that this show has been running. Right?
With all the legends we've lost, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we almost lost Monster Zero. I had that one all polished up.
Well, I don't know if I consider him a legend, but speaking of legends, so let me quickly get into what we're going to do tonight so that we can jump into something here. So we're going to be discussing the film Polar, which is a direct-to-Netflix exclusive starring Mads Mikkelsen, and then about half hour from now or so, we're going to be joined by filmmaker Michael Neal. So if you guys have feedback, feel free to send it to us, podcast@trickortreatradio.com, voice message, email. You give us your thoughts on Polar or just any old thing. But speaking of legends, we have a legend joining us right now, and that would be the legendary podcaster and soon-to-be legendary filmmaker. That would be our boy, Bill by Force.
Oh, hello. It's I was afraid we were gonna have to talk about wrestling, and then Dick Miller passed away. So I'm like, oh, perfect. I'm like, could not be a better time for me to chat with you guys because of Dick Miller's passing today, and obviously he shows up in our flick quickly a number of times just because he's been in so many movies. So it's actually good timing, and I'm glad to be here with you boys as always.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got some stuff to talk about with Bill. First and foremost, myself, Mars, and MZ. I was supposed to be Raven Shadow, but he wasn't able to make it. If he had some misadventure, I guess we'll call it. Maybe.
Yeah, Raven Shadow, why weren't you there? Oh, he's not here right now.
Oh, he's not here right now either.
Weird.
Creepers.
Yeah.
He's avoiding you like the plague.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, the three of us went to Bill's house. He was kind enough to invite us over for the Royal Rumble. And this is the third year in a row that I've gone.
You're the only three-timer, Jesse.
That's right. That's right. I'm the only three-timer.
Right.
So you and me are actually Down Boys 3K.
Yeah. Down Boys for life.
Yeah.
Or 3 life, maybe.
I still feel like the ballot was made to confuse me. Else I would have won the pick'ems, but
No, you wouldn't have.
yeah, it was all bizarre and all messed up.
Man, I thought I had a pretty good chance because I got some. I made most of the picks for the winners of the matches, but
you finished 4th overall, Jesse. You weren't. You weren't that far off.
That's why you only listed the top 3 results. I see.
Thank you.
Gold, silver, and bronze.
And runner-up.
And runner-up.
The craziest thing that happened all night was when Anthony put his winner for the Royal Rumble in the wrong Royal Rumble and still almost won.
Yeah.
I know, right? Jesus.
So, spoiler alert, for those of you who don't know, the women's athlete Nia Jax was in the women's Royal Rumble, And Anthony accidentally wrote it down to win the men's Royal Rumble, but then she came out at
Yeah.
30 and fucking cleaned house in the men's Royal
Yeah,
Rumble
that
too. So,
would have been amazing.
yeah.
They've already like backtracked that because I don't know whether you guys watched SmackDown last night, but they're setting up their number one contender match and stuff, and Mustafa Ali comes out and starts talking about how he beat Daniel Bryan, so he should be in the match. And of course, Randy Orton throws in the, "Hey, didn't you get beat up by a girl in the Royal Rumble last night?"
Oh, boy.
Oh, Jesus. Perfect.
There you go.
Way
There
to
you
go. Way to go, Randy. So we could talk about wrestling, but that's not the main reason
No.
that
God,
we have
no.
Yeah.
No. It's because my dog humped Monster Zero's legs for the entire evening.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Man, he wouldn't leave me alone.
Yeah.
You need to get that dog checked now.
Yeah. Well, you did always want to be in porn, and you didn't specify what kind. So
Well,
now,
you know, I've seen enough of that kind of porn to know that I don't want to have anything to do with it.
wait.
What?
You've seen enough of that
kind?
porn?
What do
You've seen bestiality porn? Is that what you're
I
saying?
have.
What
Why you admit that? You want to edit this?
Rock.
You sounded like proud of that. Too.
I know.
Like, yeah, why?
I never
Like,
said I was
we're,
proud of
we're
it.
the weirdos. We're the weirdos for questioning it. You're like, yeah, why?
Aries is moving to the other side of the table now.
Just remember.
I never said I was proud of it. I'm just saying I've seen something.
I just said I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I just said I watched it more than once.
Yeah, I mean, after the first 7 or 8 hours, it got kind of disgusting.
Jesus.
Joke about Jesus, man. Bart,
That's a bit of an exaggeration, all right?
Yeah.
But
Bill's
like a
gonna
3-hour exaggeration.
Bill's gonna hug his dog now, thanks to you. Jesus.
Just hug, no heavy pet.
Now,
Yeah.
now you're gonna have a different bracelet that goes off when you go by kennels.
We need to get him one of those shock collars so he doesn't leave the yard.
And by the way, tonight's trick or
it's a
treat.
bizarre world that life.
Yeah, and by the way, tonight's bestiality talk is brought to you by Sugar Smacks. Dig it.
I can't believe you watch fucking bestiality porn. This is ridiculous.
Hold on, rewind the tape. You, who has known him even longer than me,
Yep.
can't believe he watched bestiality porn.
I can't believe he admitted to it.
Yeah, that's. But if you
So
gave me,
freely. Not
Right.
that he hadn't watched it.
yeah, he
No,
wasn't fucking pressed.
It's
or
not
anything.
like I go out searching for it.
Originally
It
you
found
had
you.
to. Yeah. Originally you had to though, like
no, absolutely not. No. It's the. I don't know if they still have. I don't think they have these sites anymore, like Ogrish and
Ogrish.
eFucked or.
God.
No. Those are just really.
That's just a few of the ones I frequented.
These are a few
It's
of my favorite
A
things.
small sampling, really.
They're just places where they have like really weird, bizarro stuff. I mean, of just
No
of
shit.
everything.
No
Of
shit, chat. No shit.
Of everything. You know, it has death videos and all this
Death
stuff.
videos.
Sure.
What the fuck is wrong
It's
with
good
you,
knowing.
man?
It's good knowing you, iTunes.
Well, technically, it's Apple Podcasts.
Sorry.
Yeah, I need to put something to bed though right off the bat, and I mean that in like the most professional way possible. So I was talking to Mars last week, and he was like, "Aries doesn't want to come to your party because he wasn't invited." Let me tell you why Aries wasn't invited.
Oh, fuck you.
Because
No.
I attempted to friend Aries on Facebook like a year and a half, 2 years ago, and he denied me.
Okay, if we're going back that far, I had no idea who you were at that point.
So you didn't look into it now, did you?
No,
If you would
I
have
didn't.
seen outside the cinema, then you would have known.
Because I
Whenever I
only
get
friended
a-
you for this stupid fucking show.
Yeah, whenever I get a friend request, I always look into who it is that's asking me.
Because you don't want any fucking weirdos.
Yeah. You
yeah,
have
right.
the weirdest fucking friends in the world on that page.
That's right.
People
But-
threaten other people's girlfriends.
Great.
Only the best go on my page.
Yeah.
The best of the worst. But I do want to say that from this point on, Aries is invited to all of the Team Fulkerson get-togethers.
Well, he already can't make
Oh.
it next year, so
It's already busy.
Yeah.
He's got to comb his beard.
yeah. He has a plan. He's already moved it twice.
Yeah. I'm a little awkward around Monster Zero right now because I'm doing a little research and I found out that he got kicked out of a toy store one time.
Was it your toy store?
No, he got no, not mine. He got kicked out of a toy store in about 1987. He thought pound puppies meant something different.
I expected there to be a line. There's
This
nobody
is
even
horrible.
here.
I can't believe.
I'm not saying I'm proud of it. I'm just saying I saw it.
First of all, let's make a fucking list right now of all the things you are proud of.
it's
One-time contributor, Horror Hound Magazine.
okay. There's one thing,
Yeah,
and I didn't shit myself today. All right, so there's two.
I almost did. It's so fucking cold. I lost control of my bodily functions for a minute.
What? Yeah, ma'am.
yeah, but it doesn't have to be cold for you to do that.
No, it could be very hot too. It's weather extremes.
I mean, you could be shitting out the filling that's in Wolfie's taco right now.
What?
Shitting
damn
out
it.
the filling that's in my taco right now.
Yeah.
Today's shit talk is brought to you by Sugar Grams. Dig it.
Dig it.
But yes, the dog humped. He was very fond of Monster Zero. I mean, he enjoyed his time with Jesse and Mars too, but he was very partial to you because you kept giving up your back. So
I know.
He was very sharing. I mean,
Yeah,
sharing equals caring.
In dog humping and collegiate wrestling, you should never give up your back. Like those are two rules you have to learn. You would have got.
But he's such a cool dog, man.
He's
What
the
kind
fucking
of
best.
dog is that?
Bark Wahlberg is 50% Black Lab, and then like there's some Irish Wolfhound and some like a Terrier mix. So he's mother was a full bred Black Lab, and then the rest is a mix. But Irish Wolfhound is like the most like if you look at picture of Irish Wolfhound, it's like
that's what
that's
what I was thinking. I was thinking Irish Wolfhound.
He's just not that big. Like he's
Exactly.
like only like 55 pounds.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I saw Irish Wolfhound, but I figured he was too small to be Irish Wolfhound.
Yeah, he's a good dog though.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill. Our boy Evil Corny in the chat room wants to know that he wants to know if he would have been invited.
Of course he would have been invited. He's invited anyway. He's invited for next year already.
Right.
There you go.
There you go, Corny.
There you go, Corny.
Send him a ticket.
You know,
Cowboys 4K. Get prepared.
one thing that Corny is invited to, and Bill is going to be involved in, is the Deadites' big 25th anniversary weekend.
Oh, I'm sorry. Aries is busy that night.
Wow. There unfortunately will not be any dog assaults, but
I can bring him with me. Will they let him in?
probably, I don't know. If we say it's part of the show, I think you can do anything. That's like what I learned from wrestling. You can smoke
Put him in a party hat.
inside. You can light fires. Like,
No, fires are a no-no nowadays.
well, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Ever since Great White killed all those kids.
Yeah, no, that fucking all of a sudden after that happened, and I feel really bad about that. And by kids, you mean 50-year-olds.
Yes.
I feel terrible about that, but like I do get like a weird minor annoyance because after we had like fire in our shtick for like years, all of a sudden people are like, I've always felt so unsafe with the Deadites. Like I've always felt like they're gonna light us on fire, which was in reality probably more of a possibility than they knew because of how drunk the person wielding the fire was. But like all of a sudden these fucking fronters were like, oh, the Deadites are so unsafe.
Classic heel term.
Yeah, the reality we're unsafe is that we were terribly drunk and somebody might come out to the crowd and stab you. But you could have got lit on fire. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. Even on Powerhouse shows, people used fire sometime, which was the wrestling federation I was part of in the 90s and 2000s.
Well, Mars, you had mentioned that weekend, the 25th anniversary.
It's gonna be Wild Woolly and Rocksteady, baby.
How is Bill involved in that weekend?
Well,
refresh everyone's memory.
My favorite movie of the last couple of years, and I'm not just saying that because I'm in it, I actually bring down the real estate a little bit. Survival of the Film Freaks will be screened as part of the main event, if you will, the coup de grace of night one of the Deadites' 25th and 16th week anniversary celebration weekend. It's going to be fucking wild. I can't
It's
wait.
going to last longer than a Brock Lesnar match.
Yeah. Remind me to talk to you off air about that. I think that Brock Lesnar match is almost perfect. But,
It's great.
Yeah. But hey, do you guys mind if I drop another small announcement? No big deal.
Right on Rich's chest.
He's seen that kind of porn too, I bet.
Scat
I think
porn?
I think we've all maybe stumbled across one of those accidentally.
Not me. I can say like I'm.
Oh yeah, well, it was on purpose for you.
Right.
Wait, you got a big announcement, Mars?
Yeah. It's not. It's a. It's an announcement. It's not. I don't want to overstate things. I don't want to.
You got an announcement.
Yeah, I have an announcement. Actually, it's a fucking huge announcement.
Oh shit! So
not
it's
only
bigger
will
than big.
Bill and his amazing film, Bill and his amazing friends, dude, Iceman, Firestar,
Kyle,
Kyle,
John Bob Briggs.
Bach Wahlberg. Not only will he be part of that weekend and part of live Trick or Treat Radio, I decided that we needed an MC for that weekend, right? Like,
MC 900 Foot Ronsky.
He's in
MC Scat Cat.
no. So I just made a call today, this afternoon, and was like, hey, if I've got the money, do you get the time? And with the deepest of deep
You
voices,
didn't offer me any money.
no, with the deepest of deep voices, he said yes. All the
Barry
way,
White.
Yep, all the way from the fucking polar vortex.
Peter Steele.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, El Goro will be on hand both nights.
Oh!
Seems like it's going to be an outside the cinema club reunion there. I'm a
Oh,
little
man.
worried about what could happen. But
Tickle my scrotum and call me Sally.
Okay, Sally.
Ooh, tickles.
that expression just reminded me of one of my favorite lines in Hank and Mike. Women's got legs, man's got pants. If you got the picnic, I'll bring the ants. I don't even know what it means. I love that.
It's so dumb.
Yeah. But yeah, El Goro and I spoke today. He's alive. He's not frozen. He's just killing ice giants in the house by the edge of the park. And he's excited. He's going to come down, and it's going to be fucking awesome. Yeah, it's between him and Aries. There's going to be quite a beard game going on that night. So.
Dude, my beard ain't that far back.
No, your beard, I
No.
think, actually, I was just thinking of that as soon as I said it. Like, your beard is in the game. But you might, that's a long time. Like, you're fickle with your facial hair. It might turn into a handlebar mustache by then or something. Like,
That's true. I don't know. I keep it under control. I keep it trimmed, but I'm absolutely amped to see Goro. That's fucking awesome.
yeah, it's gonna be a fucking awesome weekend. I can't wait. Like, I just am so excited for it. Like, the stuff we're gonna do leading up to it. Everything about it. I still have a couple more coals in the fire. One of them's Michael.
Michael Cole?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm
Paula Cole?
I know there is a Paula Cole, but I'm having a hard time remembering who she is.
She sang that "Where Have All the Cowboys Gone" song.
Oh, right. Now I remember.
And the "Am I ever gonna wait till tomorrow?" No, wait, that's not the song, is it?
Is she from?
I don't wanna wait for my life to be over.
From Dawson's Creek, right?
Yes, exactly.
Mm.
She didn't shave her armpits. From Rockport, Massachusetts.
Really, that seems to be a thing from the more ritzy parts of Massachusetts.
It's true.
Yep.
It's true.
Amanda Palmer Mars doesn't shave her armpits.
Gross.
What? Which part? Like, I don't know.
Amanda Palmer Mars. That's the
All
gross
of it.
part.
All of
It's good.
I don't care about her armpits.
Yeah, great. Yeah, listen. She's one Neil Gaiman away from loving me forever.
What?
Yeah, it's just all that stands in between us.
That just sounds like a bad
That's
thing.
all, yeah.
Yeah, well, when I met her, I had a lot of, I spit my game, and I could tell that she was.
When did you meet her?
I met her at a Tori Amos show.
Oh.
We almost collided into each other, and I said,
Yeah, I'm sure you spoke to her, yeah.
Spit your game, meaning
Yeah.
you threw up.
Yes, exactly.
He shit his pants.
Yeah, it was bad.
And then you woke up on the floor 3 hours later wondering how you got there.
Yeah, I think she almost called like some sort of medical people. I thought I was having some sort of a seizure or something. Because in my head I was saying I'm such a big fan of your work, you've really moved me. But what I think I was saying was
Ooh.
yeah, it was not good. It was really bad.
You're a weirdo.
It was really bad.
But yeah, Goro, rad.
Yeah, it's fucking
cool,
great.
yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait. I don't know. I'm very excited, and just both those rooms are awesome. Like, this isn't like and we fucking, I'm not gonna front. We came up in clubs. You know what I mean? And if we've been lucky enough to do live Trick or Treat Radio a couple times in some real nice venues, but as the Deadites alone, we've just come up in like some dive bars and some clubs and stuff. But the reality is that like these are two marquee locations that we're having these in. These are the two nicest places in Worcester I could find to make these things happen. And you guys are gonna, it's both of them are in, one of them is in a pretty good part of the city, and one of them is in the part where only vampires live.
You know what? I'm having trouble figuring out which one is which.
Yeah, right.
Elm Park's not so bad, right?
Are you kidding me?
Well, there's a giant raccoon there with an eye patch and a scar, but otherwise it's okay.
That was one of the two places I've been mugged in the city.
You were mugged?
You've been mugged?
2 times at that.
What time were you out that you were mugged?
It was dark.
Did you throw him into space?
No.
Why not?
He hit me from behind.
Did he have a gun?
No, he knocked me out.
Jesus.
I got hit from the behind. What do you want?
He got hit in the behind?
I got hit in the behind.
I don't know. I'm suspect here. This is the same guy.
You got hit from behind. It was obviously Monster Zero.
Exactly.
Oh, no, it was Mark Wahlberg.
Coming at you hot and hard.
This is the same guy that fought a club one time on the internet, so I'm not sure that.
Well, the club was in front of me.
Yes. Well, maybe. I've never got mugged in Elm Park, and I've done plenty of stuff there.
So I just got confirmation. No Raven Shadow.
Really? What's the matter?
What?
He
was afraid of me, that bitch.
he said he fucked up his back snow blowing. And
He's snow blowing. When was he snow blowing?
I don't know. He says he has to hold. Well, maybe I'm telling too much, but he says he has to hold on to stuff to get around. He said he's in bad shape. He didn't work today, and he tried to get in the car but couldn't do it.
Wow.
So.
Well, how much snow did you guys get with last night's weather?
3 inches.
Well, I don't
And he
know.
was out there snow blowing it?
I don't know. He's higher than us, so maybe he got more than us.
He did not.
No,
Okay.
no, there wasn't much more to.
Yeah, I don't know.
Was it from the weekend?
Still. It didn't snow too much this weekend, did it?
I didn't need to snow blow this weekend.
I don't know. Last time it snowed, whatever that was.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope he's okay.
I mean, I hope he's okay too, but I'm going to make fun of him.
No, that's fair.
I mean, first the water heater and now this. I think he's avoiding me, that dirty
sure.
fat scoundrel.
So because of that, Mars immediately raises his hand.
No, I'm going to claim him because I'm closer.
I just tried to be a good guy and bought Raven Shadow some food, and he's not here to claim it. So
See what that gets you?
he still has to pay me for it, though, Mars. Okay, so
Nice.
you don't
What
have
is
to
it?
pay me, huh?
What is it?
There's look, I'm such a nice guy because Raven Shadow always talks about, oh, I don't want to eat meat around you. I got a steak quesadilla and a cheese quesadilla.
Damn.
Maybe share 'em, Mars, if these guys want it.
I don't want the cheese quesadilla.
Well, that was the one he just touched and put back.
Yeah. Well, there's another reason why I don't want it.
Eat the other half of the
kids.
steak one.
Quesadillas for
No, I'm
everyone.
good. I'm good.
So, speaking of big announcements, obviously Mars just made a big one. We got El Goro coming to the
So
25th
awesome.
anniversary Deadites Trick or Treat Radio Extravaganza Anniversary Special. Is there an official name for it yet, Mars? Or we call them the Deadites 25th Anniversary Celebration?
And there's a parenthesis there, if we're being honest. But
All right. So, but Bill has something he wants. Well, it's not really an announcement, but just
No, yeah, the
something to
info's
talk
been out
about.
for a little while.
Yeah, it's been out
Well,
there.
no, I wanted to promote it because you guys got a pretty good local listenership. And when we made Survival of the Film Freaks, we kind of set goals for ourselves. One of them was to just get it into some film festivals, and we did that. And then the next goal was to, maybe win an award with it, and we did that. But one of the goals that we hadn't done yet was
You guys won all the fucking awards, pretty
All of
much.
we won some. We didn't win all of them.
All right. Well,
But-
in my eyes, you won all of them.
Thank you very much. But one of the goals that we set was this documentary is so entwined in the midnight movie culture and talks about it so much. I'm like, if we could ever get a really cool midnight screening of it, that would be really awesome. And luckily for us, in Boston, the Coolidge does an After Midnight series. And it's one of those things where I wish I could get to it more, but I'm old and fall asleep at 9 o'clock at night most nights. But they always program amazing stuff. They got a Jodorowsky thing coming up.
Yeah.
They did
We used to
Foggy
go.
Melted, all this crazy stuff.
We used to go a lot more often. I know MZ and I, especially, we used to go to a bunch of those. But
Oh, sure.
now, yeah, it's harder to get out there. But yeah, they have some great stuff.
Yeah, and we've been friends with Mark, that is the guy that's the programming head over there for a while, and we told him we were making the documentary. He's like, oh, sounds interesting. We're like, yeah, if you ever would be interested in showing it, that would like that'd be awesome, and like we'd be like forever like grateful for it. And sure enough, he held up his end of the bargain, and he programmed us for Saturday, February 9th at midnight. Well, 11:59 on Saturday, going into Sunday morning.
Yep.
But yeah, we're screening as part of the After Midnight
Ooh.
run at the Coolidge it's technically in Brookline, isn't it?
Yes. Yep.
So yeah, it's like on the line. But so the Coolidge Corner Theater in Brookline, Massachusetts, Saturday, February 9th at 11:59 p.m. Survival of the Film Freaks is an official midnight movie.
That's fucking awesome. I mean, it's such a great, platform for it as well. Like you said, like they do some great stuff there at the Coolidge at the midnight screening series, and it's so cool that you guys are going to be playing your flick there, and we got to try to get there, guys. Like,
oh yeah, baby.
We've been to the Coolidge so many times over the years, and seeing
To see us on the screen.
well, yeah, especially like, I mean, for us, Mars, you and I, like seeing ourselves, but just to support and just to be there, like that sounds like a really good fucking time. So I might have to make that happen, Bill. So
I hope on
That'd be awesome. No, because Kyle and I will be there. We're gonna do an intro and a Q&A and stuff. I just want to see. I want Rich to come so I can see Rich almost pass out from laughing.
That was fucking. I mean, seeing that film with people was one of my best cinematic experiences ever, because watching it in just at your place, even though that was an incredible, like, projected on the fence, and it was fucking awesome, like you were preaching to the choir, right? Like of course, me, Wolfie, and Eric Newell sitting in a row, like, thought it was funny. It was for us, but like to see it with other people that it was for at Skip's Festival was just so amazing. Like,
yeah, we've really been really lucky with getting some really great crowds for some of this festival screenings. The same thing happened when we went to Knoxville, and the place was jammed full. Well, not an empty seat in the place. Well, that's not true. There's a few empty seats, but like it connected, and they felt as though it connected. They gave us an award for audience connection because of the way it went over. So like we've been really lucky with getting it in front of the right people, and I think of a documentary we made to be seen with your friends, but you can sit and you can watch it, on your own and still enjoy it. I don't think the thing that, and I've said this to you, Mars, because we've discussed it, like, I don't think we realized that people were going to find it as funny as they have.
Yeah.
Like, I've watched it so many times, so like the humor just goes by me. I mean, the only joke I still really chuckle at is Scarlotta talking about watching BMX Bandits. But like, I don't realize that people still find, like, they hear, Vasectomy the movie, like that line from Chris Gore, and it's, I've heard so many times it doesn't even factor into my mind at all, but like, it's a funny line. So I'm just really excited to be able to get it in front of that, a midnight crowd. Hopefully we'll get a good turnout for it. And people will enjoy it, because we're not doing a lot of more theater screenings. Actually, I think the 25th anniversary may be the final theater screening of it. So
there you go. So if you guys haven't seen this yet in theaters, this may be one of your last, if not your last opportunity to check it out on the big screen. And it's big for you guys to have this isn't a festival where maybe it's sort of like a bit more of an exclusive thing. This is open to everybody. Everybody can go to this, and it's at the Coolidge. Do you know what it seats? It must seat like around 300 or something like that, I'm guessing.
I think I think it's theater 2. I want to say it's like 2 or 250.
Oh, okay.
If I'm not mistaken. It's good. I mean, it's a good sized theater. It's not some hole in the wall, but yeah, you can buy tickets right on the Coolidge Corners website, or if you go to their Facebook page, you just look up Coolidge After Midnight, and there's links right there to buy tickets.
Yeah, there you go. So I hope people, if you're within driving distance, definitely make it out there. And
it's a great theater too.
It's a great theater, and what they do is amazing. So just continuing to help support them, and also to help support Bill, Kyle, and hopefully some of us can be there.
I think
we'll talk about it
isn't
off
that
the
where
air.
you and Andrew Walanen, who is also in the film, went and saw Brain Dead, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just saw. That's where I saw Suspiria with
Claudio
Simonetti doing the score. right there, and I saw Andrea and Anthony Landry there, and a few other folks that
Wow.
I saw Jared Blinkhorn there. So
Jared Blinkhorn, ladies and gentlemen.
I think the last time I was there was when I went to go see Zombie.
Yeah, you took me for my birthday.
No, I didn't take you. I was by myself.
Well, we went and saw it. Oh no, you mean Zombie 2, right?
Yeah, Fulci's
Yeah,
Zombie.
You took me to go see Dawn of the Dead, the Italian cut.
I
zombie.
remember we went to go
we
see
went to
Dawn.
that. Yeah,
For
I
my
remember
birthday.
seeing Dawn.
Yeah,
But
because
I
that
think
was
the last time
Zombie. Like that was that cut.
Oh, I see what
Yeah,
you
so
mean.
that's
I
why
see what
got
you mean. Okay.
confused, yeah.
Zero. How long ago was that? Which version was that?
That was the I believe it was the 25th anniversary. So it's been a long
Oh,
time.
it's been a while, dude. You've got to pick up that 4K Blue Underground Blu-ray they just released, man.
Man, I got like 2 copies of I already got
Dude,
2
I've got like
copies of
10
it.
copies of it, but it is worth every penny. It looks unreal.
I'm so tempted to get it. Only if for anything else for the Troy Howarth audio commentary.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't actually watched it with it yet, but yeah, I can't believe. I mean, we saw that version of it on the big screen in Knoxville, and like I was blown away by how it looked.
I think you just pushed me over the edge of a purchase right there.
That and the Maniac one that they just released, even maybe more so with Maniac, because even though it's a 4K transfer, it's still like got that dinginess to it, but it's the best I've ever seen it look.
Maniac. When we reviewed Maniac, I think on episode 50 or 51.
It's 51.
Yeah, you were with us. One of my favorite episodes of all time.
Yeah, that was a good time. I will never pass up an opportunity to talk about that movie. I love that.
Yeah, so good.
Great movie.
and the remake, obviously,
Yeah,
was-
Yeah.
I'm surprised
Yeah,
how
for
good it
different-
was.
different
Surprisingly
reasons.
Good.
Yeah.
How raw it was.
Yeah, so if that's a callback. If anyone wants to go check that out, it was way back in the technically first year, I guess, or just about within the first year. We had Bill and Chris on from outside the cinema to do I think it was called Multiple Maniacs.
Well, I don't think Chris was on for it, was he?
No, I think it was just me.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
was it
on
just
the-
Bill? Okay,
Yeah, Chris
okay.
was on the first
All right,
Halloween special. We did a
all right.
playlist. Yeah.
No, you know what? It wasn't the 25th anniversary
No, I had been
from
more.
the DVD release. It was their first Blu-ray release.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's what it was.
Because that wasn't that long ago. That was like maybe like 8 years ago, 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Maybe less than that. Maybe 5 years
Was
ago.
it the 30th? Maybe
Eh,
I don't know. It was
I don't
a
know.
few. It was like within 10 years ago.
yeah, well, it wasn't that long ago.
How long has it been since you haven't been allowed to leave the fucking house? That will be a good clue of how far back we have to go.
That's a good point. Yeah. When did you go on house arrest?
Yeah.
I
Jesus Christ.
want to mention one more Film Freaks thing before.
Yeah,
we
please.
move on. I can't announce anything yet, but for those of you that don't live locally and are looking to see it, we will have an announcement about a physical release very soon.
Nice. Uh-oh. Wolfie won't like that.
What?
Why?
He doesn't like physical releases.
It's not that I don't like physical releases. I appreciate them. I just don't collect them.
He doesn't like them.
I will
doesn't
own that
like 'em.
one. I'll definitely
There
own
will be
that one.
there will be plenty of options in the physical release.
Will you sign one for me?
No.
I'll sign it for you,
You-
Mars.
Will you sign one for me?
I've got
Tight.
my signed poster from you. And
Are you going to autograph your own copy?
maybe?
So, but yeah, I'll come back on with you guys and let you guys know. It's very, very soon, and maybe if you come to the Coolidge Corner screening, you'll get all the information then. I can't promise, but maybe there'll be an announcement made then. I don't know.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Te-
Not that I'm not trying to give anything away, but
That sounds like a tease to me. Yeah, that's super cool. I cannot wait, and I got to make. So that's a week. It's a week and a half from now. So
yeah, it's a week from Saturday.
yeah, so a week from Saturday, we got to make some plans to get out there, dudes, because I want to be in attendance. I want to see it.
Yeah, Kyle and I will be there. Let's all go to dinner first.
That'd be dope.
All right, yeah.
The I learned my tease skills from you, by the way. I call them the don't give a fuck tease. I'm
Tea skills?
yeah, like I feel like nobody teases stuff when he does better.
Oh, I thought you
know?
said tea. I thought you were
No,
talking
sorry,
about
yeah,
like taking
tea's
the
good.
train.
Yeah,
Wait, nobody teases. Who do I tease?
no, like sometimes like
Tease nuts.
you're like I have
Yeah, tease nuts.
yeah. All right, forget it. Fuck it.
No. I'm sorry. Continue.
I hate you guys and I hate the first grade. No, like I've mimicked in times. Like sometimes you'll like say like I can't really say, but then you'll like kind of say it like offhandedly or like there might be an announcement. I don't really you know what I mean. Like
I'm not saying there will be, but
Yeah.
there could be.
yeah, I did it last week with 2 weeks ago with Film Freaks. Yeah, I said that
Way to do it,
I
man.
can't say what the movie is. Happy birthday, Bill.
Thank you, by the way.
I got that one almost on time.
Yeah.
I did my
Wasn't bad, yeah.
I did my finishing move with Bill. I wished him a nice happy birthday, and I didn't send it till like the next Wednesday.
The way to do it, man.
So so I'm looking at the event page right now. So if anyone wants to check out the event page, just do a look for, it's actually SOTFF, Survival of the Film Freaks, abbreviated.
We named it too friggin' long. I can't put it in anywhere.
Yeah.
Like everywhere is like, no, it's too many words and too many letters. It's like, fuck.
You'll have to remember that for the next one.
I know, right? I can't even blame Kyle on that one either.
Yeah, I think you had named it before you guys even really started shooting, right?
Yeah,
You
pretty
had it
much.
all,
Yeah.
So one other thing, Bill, is
Yeah.
there was some other interesting news from your side of things, and I think we had mentioned last week you made something official. Why don't you talk about what that official thing is now?
Oh yeah, more of necessity probably than anything else. When we started making Survival of the Film Freaks, we didn't really kind of think too much about the future. We were like, all right, what are we going to do to get this movie made? So we've now got the movie made, and now we're like, shit, we actually have to do like real things with it. So
Yeah.
I've worked like backbreaking work for the better part of the last 20 years, working on docs and working
literally backbreaking.
literally
Yeah.
2 back surgeries and 4 slip discs and herniated discs later. I decided that I want to work for myself, and the experience of making Film Freaks and the team that Kyle and I have made has been just a really kind of like eye-opening experience. In if you work hard and you have good ideas, you can make good things. So it started as a necessity to get Film Freaks out to people, but I decided that I'm like, fuck this. I'm going to start my own production company.
Yeah.
So I filed all the paperwork on January 1st, and OTC Industries LLC is a real life production company now. And we have a bunch of stuff lined up for this year. We already did a couple of music videos, and we're going to have our hands obviously all over the physical release of Survival of the Film Freaks, and then a couple other things later in the year. So things are looking pretty busy for your boy old Bill here.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome. And obviously, you told us some of the stuff that you got coming up. So, there's a lot of cool stuff, and we're super excited. And as always, if there's anything you need from us, we're always there for you, man. So, I'm super.
You're the promotion machine. You guys are the marketing department.
Marketing. Maybe you need to work a little harder to earn our keep.
Right, seriously.
Yeah.
I
No,
know
really,
you don't
fucking
need.
step up your game.
I know you don't need us, but I do know some guys that do electronic music. So
You do?
yeah.
Yeah, his name's Bill Fulkerson and Jay
Right.
Maz. They
Well,
did the soundtrack and supported Survival of the Film.
Considerably
They go by the musical artist name of Burn Pile. I don't know whether you knew that.
considerably more prolific than who I was thinking of actually. We definitely did just put out a song that we made 4 years ago. So
That is true, yeah.
Yeah, like Legislate, slow down.
I know, right?
Seriously. So in a year and a half from now, you want me to make a video for it?
Maybe. I'm bad about that though. Like,
Well,
when I feel like-
you're still talking about making videos for the thing that came out 7 years ago now.
I don't know what that is.
The EP.
It's all videoed up now.
You still promote every single show?
Yeah, it's all videoed up. If you
It
go
is?
on the video thing, it's all the songs have a video now.
Underground Sky does?
I made that The Ken Burns thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
No, we don't need it anymore. Though I am probably gonna make a video for Executioner's Lullaby, which is like 25 years old.
You're just gonna sync that up to the Ken Burns film Baseball?
That's what I
Yes.
did. I took out the part where they played center field.
The John Fogerty song?
Yeah.
That song rules.
Put me in, Ken. I'm ready to dissolve. That was a
Oh,
very
man.
nerdy, like
That was
joke
really
on
nerdy.
multiple
Yeah.
things. Yeah, I don't know that.
That was double dad joke right there almost.
It's like double damage, but even worse.
It's true.
Seriously.
And in the chat room, Evil Corny says, "Congrats, Bill."
Thanks, Corny. Appreciate it very much, my friend. That Corny's a good dude. I like
Yeah,
him.
he's a real good dude. We got some with this new chat room. I can see who's hanging out in the chat room now. The old one didn't tell us, but now looks like we got Angry Guy, we got Evil Corny, we got Raven J, we got Professor X, or just someone named X.
We got Raven Shadow.
No, I don't think he could figure out the chat room unless
What the
he's
fuck is this?
Angry Guy because he injured his back.
It's possible that there was so little snow. That's like how he hurt himself, right? Like that he.
Or
like,
maybe he just made the whole thing up because he didn't watch the movie.
Because that's never stopped him before.
Yeah, no. If he couldn't be here, if he could be on camera, like he would fucking be on camera, like he.
Yeah,
He loves
yeah.
being on camera.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he does. So
That dude lit up like a fucking Christmas tree when I gave him a T-shirt with his own fucking face on it.
You know he sleeps with that
that
on.
was awesome.
Yeah,
This is so cool.
he probably does sleep with it on every
Oh
night.
yeah.
He looks at himself in the mirror, looking at himself.
Yep, that's me. That's me on a shirt. Yeah, buddy.
It is. Put on my business socks.
that's me on a shirt. That's me. I'm a down boy. Michael.
I don't know. We might have to kick him
Shadow.
out after this past weekend.
Yeah, might have to. I think MZ took a spot this time.
He has stuff, Bill.
Absolutely.
Huh?
He has stuff.
He has stuff.
He has problems.
Problems.
Perhaps.
Go give him a break. Cut him a break. No, I mean, I'm not even making fun of him. Like those snow blowers, are like snow propelled, right? So maybe there's few snow he was having to push it himself.
They're not snow propelled.
Oh, you don't
No.
know. You don't know which one
What
he
are you
has.
talking about?
No,
They have wheels. The wheels propel them.
No, mine is snow powered.
Snow
Well,
powered.
that's not a snowblower then.
Yeah, it is. It's a snow
That's called a
powered.
fucking shovel.
It's a snow powered snow blower.
That's a snow thrower. It's like one of those. It's like a powered shovel almost.
Sure. Yeah, no, whatever he has, it hurts. Like, you gotta leave him alone.
Dude, I friggin' plowed my own. That's, I used the snowblower a couple weeks ago with that storm that we had, and my fucking tire fell off, and I still was able to do my whole driveway.
Raven, well, I don't know. He's just, I don't know. It's like shooting.
Whatever, fuck that guy.
It's like shooting Italian stereotypes.
I'm taking down
There's
the
no reason to
autograph
make fun of him when he's
wall
not
of the
here.
studio. Jesse, take a note. The Raven Shadow autographed 8x10 is coming down off the wall of the studio.
Wow.
I need Aries to send me an autographed 8x10 to replace it.
Oh,
Just be a handprint.
yeah.
Yeah, that I can do because
Well, that's
I
totally
don't really do
different.
photos very often. So
Yeah, he'll just come over to your house and just punch a hole in the wall.
also very doable.
Once a
These are
zero.
all I'm not saying no to any of this.
Then you just put a frame around it.
Yeah.
Neil sign it. Aries.
Once a zero. Have you ever seen snow porn?
No, I have not.
Well, next time Bill goes out and plows his driveway, you need to. I just
And
got
now-
fucking terrified, even though I knew somebody was coming. Like, I peed a little. Because I was like, shit, he heard me, and he's going to fucking put a fucking meatball-coated stiletto right in between my...
Meatball coated
Aw.
stiletto.
Yeah, it's
You
pretty bad.
pee a little, a lot. You know that?
You pee a little, a lot.
Well,
Like everything that happens in your life, I
Yeah.
peed a little.
I'm old. What do you want?
We're gonna put you in Depends.
It depends.
Doesn't a meatball coated stiletto sound like something you see in a late Fulci flick?
Yep.
Like one of those like shitty ones he made in the late 80s? The
Meatball.
Devil's Honey featuring the meatball coated stiletto.
Don't ever knock Door into Silence.
Oh, dude,
that
Door to
fucking
Silence is
shit.
awful.
I love Door into
You
Silence.
like it because it's bad, and it's like a...
It is bad.
Yeah, you
and
like it
that's-
because it's a
and-
thing you know.
and you're right. It is. I love it because it is bad. It's terrible. It's the most anti-Fulci flick ever.
Now, where does it rate next to all the bestiality porn that you see?
Oh boy,
Top of the notch.
it's better than bestiality porn.
It's better than Van
It's
Helsing.
yeah.
Well, Door to Silence was the last one. What was the? Oh, I'm trying to think of the. We
Demonia?
want an OTC. No, Touch of Death,
Oh yeah,
which was a TV movie, I think, wasn't it?
it was.
Oh man, that was so
House
bad.
of Clocks.
That's a shitty name too. Like, what does that? Like, you get a touch of a cold. Like, you don't have like a touch of death. Woo! I got a small touch of death.
House
So-
of Clocks.
So
House of Clocks.
let me interrupt real quick. So actually, we have a comment in the chat room. Evil Corny says, "I have a Survival of the Film Freaks autograph poster at Raven Shadow's house
Oh, nice, perfect.
that he's been waiting to get shipped to him, but Raven
Oh,
Shadow
you're never
hasn't done it yet." He says,
Yo, Corny, send me your information. I'll send you some stuff.
Corny, I feel horrible. I haven't been able. I've just been so busy that I can't like crash the house and get everything in the mail.
and Corny says, "I hope to get a copy of the film autographed so it can be a way for me too." And also,
I don't blame him for being pissed.
I don't either.
no, I don't know. He should be pissed because that's bullshit.
Yeah.
It was like what 4 months ago that he left.
Yeah.
He was
Corny,
here.
you should be responsible for your stuff a little bit, though, right? Like, you can't just blame it all on my tag team partner.
No. He should know better not to give it to Raven Shadow in the future.
Yeah, listen.
Well, yeah, he didn't know what
didn't-
he was dealing with.
And he also did stay at Raven Shadow's house, so
Right.
it makes sense.
I need to saddle up with the world's dopest tag team again if there's going to be this big influx of outside the cinema club, though. So I have to try to put the band back together.
And the other thing is we also have another guest joining us here. So we're
Oh,
joined.
that fucking guy.
Yeah.
So obviously we have Bill on the line, and Bill, I actually met our next guest through Bill. Like Bill was
Obviously.
was the middleman and brokered this deal. And there's I actually just happened to see it a few days ago. There's a picture of me and our next guest. We had just met, and we were fast friends. And we've been friends with him for about 5 or so years now.
Out fucking rageous.
And
When you're going to learn, Jesse, that all of the good stuff that happens in your life is because of me.
well, once I get on IMDb, then maybe I'll thank you.
That's up to you. I can't create one for you.
I know. Once I get that star on the on the Walk of Fame, then I'll give you your due. But now we're joined in studio, and he's got his own film to talk about and his own stuff to talk about. We're joined by our good buddy Michael Neal.
Yeah.
Hey guys, what's going on?
How's it going, man?
What's going on? It's good.
And obviously, Michael's been on Outside the Cinema a whole bunch over the years, and he and Bill have known each other for even longer than we've known Michael.
Fucking long.
Yeah, seriously. God, this dick again.
You can't get rid of this dude. It's like, oh, I mean, hey, buddy, how are you?
Well, dude, I came on the show and you're on the fucking computer talking on the other end, so you know.
Well, I
can't get rid of you
wasn't,
either.
I wasn't supposed to be here, so
Right.
I'm not supposed to be here today.
Yeah, right, exactly.
There was some dog humping news we had to get out. And all.
Yeah.
We had to
Yeah.
share
Nice.
with the world.
Oh, let me show Michael. I gotta.
Michael knows my dog, so he can understand where it was all coming from.
Oh, it's not like goat fucking kind of stuff?
No,
No,
not
that-
that good.
That would be a video MZ would show you.
That's beautiful.
All right, Michael has now seen Bark humping MZ.
Well, not only humping and a beautiful little gif right there.
We're going on a date Saturday.
Yeah.
Get ready to
Better
get
treat that
stood
dog
up,
good.
Bach. How much the dates in your man cave?
Well, that's because I'll have a little package of wolfies for me for him to take. So
Wolfies?
wolfies.
Oh! I just. Oh my God!
Ah!
Boo.
You're
Wow!
sick. Boo this man.
Wow!
That was pretty
I don't-
impressive, man.
I don't think you need woofies.
Wolfies.
That is horrible. You are the worst person.
Hey, you're fucking fired. Okay, just get out.
Raven Shadow, pick up.
Yeah. Where's Raven Shadow? Why don't you injure your back? Woofies.
Oh my God.
That's terrible.
Wolfies.
It's not like it's only funny because you think it's funny. You
I
fucking-
know.
Everyone
Yeah.
thinks it's funny.
Don't pass out. No, we think it's disgusting.
No, it's
Stop
gross, man. It's not
laughing.
funny.
You know,
I
though,
did.
there's a very, very small specific market for that product.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and you're
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
at it.
The market is him.
Nice.
Wolfie's Talk brought to you by Sugar Smacks. Dig it.
So, Bill, I know you got to get up early, right?
Sure.
Sure. Well, hey, it's up to you. I don't know if you want to hang out some more.
No, I'm gonna have to take the dog out. I gotta take Travis to school in the morning, so I do have an early morning. So,
Yes.
And also we all know that if I stick around, Michael's not gonna be able to talk about his stuff because I'm just gonna talk over him.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it comes from a place of love.
Oh, I know. I love you too, man.
Cool. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out.
Hey,
Of course, man.
Cool.
And
the
thank
pleasure
you
was
guys
all yours.
for having me. Thank you very much for having me on the show tonight to plug the upcoming screening. Appreciate it.
I
Yeah.
can't wait for it, my man. And I
Yeah.
can't wait to see you. We got to do
And-
lunch in the next couple weeks, remember? So.
Absolutely, dude. I'll swing by and see you at work. Probably maybe later this week.
All right, sounds great, man.
Yeah, definitely. So everyone go check out Survival of the Film Freaks February 9th at 11:59. It is part of the Coolidge After Midnight film series, and you get to see Survival of the Film Freaks, possibly one of the last times you get an opportunity to see it in theaters. And Bill and Kyle will both be in attendance, and maybe some of the other stars will be in attendance. Mars.
Maybe Mars will sign your tits.
I will. I'll sign my tits.
Yeah, perfect. Just sign everybody's too.
Yeah. So everyone go check that out. And then also, you will get an opportunity. We don't want to put the cart before the horse. You will get an opportunity to see Survival of the Film Freaks at the 25th anniversary Deadite celebration.
Yeah, I'm not saying there's going to be an announcement this coming weekend at the Coolidge, but I'm saying that if you hang out, you might be able to get in. There's a chance, I don't know, that you might be able to pick up a copy of it at the Deadites thing.
Whoa.
I can't make any promises, but I mean, there's these things that could happen.
See what I said?
Yeah, that's a good tease right there. So everyone, go check that out if you're within driving distance. And we hope to see you at the Coolidge on February 9th. And then if not, if you don't get a chance to get out there, or if you're too far away, make your plans right now. Come hang out to the Deadites 25th anniversary celebration, including live Trick or Treat Radio, Survival of the Film Freaks, and then the Deadite Show, April 12th and 13th. So, Bill by Force, we love you, man. Thanks for hanging out with us, and thanks for having us over your house. You were a very fine host.
Yeah, I feel
Always
bad.
welcome.
I feel bad. I swore once in front of your guests and your child.
Oh, it's fine. He doesn't care.
He gave me the evil eye, though. He was like,
Well, he'll call you out on it. He'll just be like, I'm not going to repeat it, but I heard you say it.
yeah. You got
No,
the
thanks,
coolest-
guys.
Yeah,
I love you guys so much. Thank
All
you
right.
for everything.
love you, Bill. We'll talk to you soon, man.
Yeah.
Later, dudes.
All right,
Later,
see you,
man.
bud.
Later, man.
A weird distinction. We have the pops of the two coolest kids in town on tonight.
That is true, actually. Yeah.
Best dressed.
Best dressed. Yeah. Jasper is one of the coolest kids I've ever met, and I think Michael Neal is mostly responsible for that, and of course your wife.
I just kind of guide him in the right direction. Like, he's a pretty cool kid on his own, but thank you.
So, Michael, let's jump into the big news. I want to make sure we get this out in the open, because we may have veer off into some other territory and just shoot the shit, which tends to happen. So, why don't you go ahead and tell folks about the director's cut and the screening and everything?
Sure. So I am really, really excited to get this out there. So years ago, I made a movie with Greg Anson. Well, we created it. We had a bunch of amazing artists and voice talent and stuff, but pretty small crew. We did I started as a web series, Infinite Santa 8000, like post-apocalyptic Santa Claus fighting mutants and robots in the year 8000 with a heavy metal soundtrack. We did this back in 2010. And then we made it into a film as like a somewhat sequel. It takes place about 100 years after the web series. And that came out in 2013. And at the time, I mean, super, super proud of it, of course. But when we were finishing it up, we had to start cutting scenes. Because, like, Greg and I were the only animators. We did over 2,000 shots, just the two of us.
Jesus, that's, yeah.
It's nuts. And, I mean, I'm really proud of what we did. Like, we had different skill sets. Like, he's kind of like a big workhorse. Like, I got to do an army of robots. He's the man. Like, my stuff tended to be a little more kind of nuanced detail work, although we overlap, of course. But bottom line, we were able to tackle it from different angles to get as much done as possible. Even with that, we looked at our schedule and we're just like, we got to start cutting stuff. So we cut a few scenes out of it and then released it. But after we were done, I went back and reanimated or not reanimated, animated the scenes we'd cut out just to have them. So over the years in between, a new cut kind of started to emerge. Initially, we just kind of shoved those few scenes back in there. But it ended up kind of bloating the film a little bit. And then with a little bit of perspective, I looked at it again, and we looked at it, and it's like, we could do a whole re-edit of this. So now we ended up cutting out, I want to say 4 to 5 minutes, and then putting 4 to 5 minutes back in the film. So the edits are not like whole scenes. It's like 15 seconds on the front of a scene, half a second at the end of a scene to make the transition better. Like, for example, one of the scenes we cut out was a big character scene with a villain that you didn't need to have in the film to have it make sense, but it does give it, explain a lot of the motivation of why the villain's doing what they're doing. And we heard from some people that they wanted to know more, and it's like, well, there's a reason you want to know more because we had to cut it. But once we put that back in, when we went back to his kind of location later in the film, we had all this establishing footage we didn't need anymore. So it's like all of a sudden, boom, you can cut out a minute, stuff like that. And fortunately, we had this big scene in the middle that has it's intercut with the villain on one hand and Santa kind of sneaking around and doing James Bond shit on the other, and it was intercut. So what we could do is we were able to cut chunks out of it and re-edit it, because the issue is it was mixed. So we had our mix done, so we can't go in and start tweaking lines. We can't move sound effects around. It has to be a hard cut, and we can change shots on it. Like, we can reanimate some shots, which we did for things that, didn't look, well, everything looked great, but as the artist, you're never really done.
Yeah.
So there were like 60-ish shots. We're like, oh, I can go fix this now. I can make Santa's mouth move better, little shit like that. So anyway, so long story short, we ended up with this new version that has a new edit, a bunch of new scenes. We took out a scene that was in there and replaced it with another one that we think works a little better. Retouched about 60-ish shots, and the big thing that I'm psyched about, we have a surround mix. It's never been played anywhere outside of the studio in which it was recorded in my living room. It's never been heard anywhere. So I'm really excited. We had that done for the film. It didn't end up in the final release just for a variety of, kind of reasons, but we always had it in our pocket, and that's the biggest thing by far that no one ever heard, in part because it was kind of a tragedy because the film has big metal in it. It rocks really hard.
Super
and it
hard.
sounds,
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's incredibly heavy. And knowing what that sounded like in the studio, where it's just like, holy fuck, this blew me out of the zack, because the guy that mastered it does music, metal. He's done the Pixies and stuff like that. So he's done movies too, but he really knew how to get music to really sound good.
Yeah.
And we had some amazing musicians and everything. So that part I'm really excited about. And then to add on top of that, so we made it digitally. And so when we first started off with the film, when it was a web series, people were trying to sell films at film markets by saying you can make a print out of it, right? You can make a 35 millimeter print. So when I set it up technically, what the resolution is going to be, I did it on I guess now you'd probably call it 2K or 4K, but basically the same resolution as 35 millimeter film. So someday maybe we could put it into film. And then, of course, it comes out on the web. No need to do it on film. And then when the movie comes out, we'd advertise we could do it as a print. But by 2013, when it was released, there was no reason to. It was only ever released on VOD and cable anyway. So who cares? But the reason it's awesome now is that now it's being made into a digital cinema package, which is the format they use to show films on a big screen. And the resolution we have to work with is going to be huge. I mean, this thing is going to look better than it's ever looked. There's no way for me even to watch the version. The thing is so awesome and massive. There's no way I could even watch it at home and tell you how big it's going to be because I need a theater. So, personally, I'm excited. I don't even know what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
There's probably going to be details in there that I'm just going to miss that or I've never even seen before. So I cannot wait.
That's
so
really
excited.
exciting.
That's awesome
for you to be able to experience that, let alone everyone else. And obviously I'm sure there's some fans of the film that are going to be seeing it for the first time all over again. So that's really awesome.
Yeah, totally. And I'd imagine too, I mean, I do know there are people that are obsessed with it, and if they're able to make it out to the screening, and I hope you can, would probably be able to pick up on a lot of the stuff that we changed. Some of it's more obvious than others. but there's definitely like we had someone do a kill count on YouTube. They found over 800 kills in our movie, which I'm really proud of. I
800.
I didn't
oh my
know.
God.
I was so flattered. I was like, "You counted our kills? I don't even know how many we had. Just trying to finish the damn thing."
Wow.
Yeah, and so that guy's probably gonna have to redo it because we cut a couple out and we added a few in. So I don't.
Oh
know.
no.
I don't know how it sits, but yeah. So I guess there's probably people like maybe that guy who might see it and be like, oh, I know they cut a few kills out of that, kind of thing. But anyway, yeah, it's kind of a whirlwind kind of production, but it's been amazing. It's so cool to revisit it again, and all that. So wow, I feel like I'm stuck in one of those like what's that scene in Spaceballs where like they're looking at themselves?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Could you have made that take any longer?
I did 10
10
seconds.
seconds.
Yeah.
Really? Jesus Christ, that was
I know.
forever.
Oh, jeez.
I know, when you get to be your advanced years, you're haunted as the minutes drag.
Yes.
For us young spry.
It's a lot for me to hold still and not shake.
You didn't have to hold still.
Isn't that how film works? You're gonna hold still for 30 seconds. That's why no one smiles.
That's
Did
right.
you just pull a Raven shadow on us?
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing.
What, he just took a picture with his digital phone?
No, I went older than that. I said film.
Right.
No, it's awesome though.
Iris gets
that's
nervous when
amazing.
the
I
gunpowder
can't.
goes off.
I mean,
This sounds super cool,
Yeah,
Michael.
fucking
And
Thanks, man.
let people know when the screening is. I want to make sure we get that out there as well.
Definitely. So huge shout out to the Boston Sci-Fi Film Fest, or it might be Sci Film Fest. I can never say it right. Anyway, it's in its 44th year. It's an amazing science fiction fest out at the Somerville Theater in Davis Square. I mean, they have an insane lineup, including a 24-hour sci-fi marathon on the Sunday, the 17th, starting in alphabetical order. Which
Jesus.
if I wasn't going to be out of town, I'd probably go try to do. That sounds insane.
damn.
Yeah, they're getting the world premiere of this, and I couldn't be happier, as a place to land because, it's as well as just our fans, like I really think the people that go to a sci-fi con are going to get this, or sci-fi fest are going to get this film. Like our film's animated, it's horror, it's action, but it's got a huge sci-fi element, tons of robots and gears and gizmos and people talking about things with like lots of numbers and letters and model, X47G, serum number or whatever. So, which if anyone watching the film ever wants to know what that means, ask Greg, my co-creator, because he wrote all of that. I have no idea where it came from, if it's just a bunch of gobbledygook or what, but he's the one that would know that. So, so it's playing on the 15th, Friday the 15th of February. It's at 11 p.m. I believe they sell alcohol there.
Yeah, I think they
I'm
do.
pretty
It's at the Somerville Theater.
Yeah, Somerville
Yeah,
Theater.
yeah, they
Yeah.
do. Yep.
Yeah. So that's a plus.
I like how you threw your glance at me. They serve alcohol.
Right, exactly. Maybe
Selling
I don't know.
point.
Nudge.
Look at that.
You'd
Might
fucking-
cost a little more, but it'll be worth it.
That's right.
I don't know if you've seen it, Aries, but you'd love that.
I
fucking movie.
have not seen
It's
it
a-
at all.
it's-
I'm very interested in it.
It's
Oh,
pretty
please
much
come,
about
man.
you.
Yeah.
Because it's Santa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's angry and mean.
And he kills people.
Yeah, fuck off. Have a nice walk home.
Well, you just killed someone else then.
So I want to go back a little bit, Michael. And
Yeah.
so what was the impetus for doing this? Because obviously, it sounds like this was something like, like if we had only been able to do this, if we could have done this. What was the sort of inspiration to go back and redo this?
That's a good question. It's been kind of slowly building ever since the film came out. Like I said, we had these scenes we'd cut out that I ended up animating right afterwards just so we'd have them. It's just been kind of growing, and once we had this kind of opportunity to play it, it seemed like, well, let's really just make this thing kind of happen. And it's really rare. Like, I've done a bunch of movies, and I've never had the opportunity to go back and like fix all the things that bug me, or just look at it with fresh eyes and be like, oh wow, I always thought that was subpar, but that actually kind of works okay, and something I loved just actually kind of goes on kind of long, stuff like that. So this was like a really cool opportunity just to go back and just kind of just revisit the material in as objective a way as I possibly can. I mean, I think the last time I'd seen a version with these new scenes, which was literally the old film with these scenes shoved in. There were actually some continuity errors. Like in one of them, Santa has a bag and he didn't have a bag the scene before.
Oh,
you know,
yeah, yep.
which actually I had to fix in our bunch of shots that I fixed. But it just started to seem like I was able to see the movie a little more objectively, and especially now after it's been done for a little bit, being able to step back, it's like, I think the biggest thing I take away from it is this is the truest version of our script we've ever had. Because the version that came out, I mean, they always say there's the film you write, the film you shoot, and the film you cut. It just keeps changing every time you get to a new phase, it grows. And you can't fight that, or you're going to be fucked. Like, your film's just going to suck,
Right.
Because there's only so much you can control. But in this case, like, we had all these other scenes recorded for dialogue. It wasn't like we improvised them necessarily. They were all there. So being able to look at it now and, like, for example, I think about that big character scene that was added for the villain near the beginning. And I remember when Greg and I were writing it, that was one that we added after our first draft because, A, the character needed more backstory, but B, in the part of this movie it happens, there's just been this incredibly frenetic action, and then there's a little downtime, and then more action. And it just felt like you needed more of a break.
Right.
Like it was too much to be that intense. It's a very intense action movie. And it's a fine balance between, like, moving too fast, having too much stuff and not enough downtime, and then having too much downtime. And
there's almost no right choice, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Like,
you can
if you-
agonize over it.
Yeah,
forever.
if you take out the action, then you don't need to decompress. And if you have the action, it's tough.
Yeah.
I'm working on a short story right now, which I've never done. And, like, it's laborious to try to figure out, what of my 25-page story, what of my 800-page story he probably goes into my 25-page story. Like, it's tough, and there's no right answer. You just got to fucking kind of roll with what you have and hope that you make it.
Pretty much, and it's all situational.
Right.
It's like and sometimes it's just a feeling of, like, I need this or that.
Right.
You know.
It's an important thing that Smarter, my mentors have always told me about performing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know. Only you know. So it's a fucking weird thing though, but that doesn't make it feel any fucking better when you're watching it and you know.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
You know what? I can help you take out 2 pages of that story.
Great.
Whatever 2 pages, you put me in a tutu.
No, I didn't. I never put you in that script. Is still my master stroke, but I never put you in a tutu.
In every goddamn
No.
movie you write,
Because
you're dancing in a tutu.
No, in the two,
Motherfucker.
oh, maybe were you wearing something weird? Actually?
Yes.
Yeah, you were.
Yes.
Now that I think about it, I forget about the dance scene. Yeah, what were you dancing to? Do you remember?
You spin me right round.
Yeah, see, there you go. That sounds about right.
Nice.
Yeah, because in the 2 scripts I wrote, the 2 Tolliver Jade scripts, you were that character. So you had, like, he was this, like, Jason Voorhees like character, but he dressed like Mr. Farley, like he had a leisure suit and an ascot, and
It's beautiful.
yeah.
I can get behind that. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
the tutu aspect of it that you're wearing a tutu and you're aerobicizing to you spin me right round.
Well, to bring it back to this conversation, I realized when I went and looked at that, the boldness of my youth, like that was a
Mistake?
2.5 hour exploitation film that was like the second part of a movie with like a direct sequel. So, but I assure you that will never get cut out.
See, now you're making me have some ideas for cameos for stuff I'm working
Oh,
on.
don't.
I have a bunch of stuff in pre-production and scripts right now, so
you know what?
My mind is racing.
I'll help you out however I can. No tutus.
All right.
There's another version.
Fair enough.
It wasn't a tutu anyway. It was some sort of exercise garb. But
I like that.
there's another.
It was a 3-3.
Yeah. There's a better version of that I wrote that it's I Was Made for Loving You, but I thought that, I thought that I could maybe, with all the shit that was going on at the time, get somebody to let me use Spin Me Right Round, but I knew Paul and Gene was never going to let I Was Made for Loving You go.
No.
So naively, like, not that fucking that weirdo with a half fucking mullet would have let me take Spin You Right Round either, But yeah, it's writing is hard.
So in the chat room, we got Tim Chuma's hanging out, and he says Mars could be from Aqua, the band Aqua. That does
Oh, nice.
Barbie Girl.
Come on, Bobby, let's go party.
And Leanna's hanging out. Good to see you, Leanna.
Hey.
She says I'm writing a short story as well.
Nice.
Nice.
Know what I would like to see it. You know what I found out? Something else terrible about Australia.
What's that?
So, Mike, if you don't know, over the year I've discovered that nothing lives on Australia that can't kill you.
I've seen on Facebook you
Yeah.
talked about this. Yeah.
I found out from a friend of mine who she told me that she found out that all koalas have chlamydia.
Like just in Australia or all over the place?
Well, I don't know. I had only threatened a Australian koala, so.
So
I think you're safe as long as you don't fuck it.
Well, here's the other problem that I found out. So I told.
Oh no.
So, my driver guy Brando, who is a cesspool of useless information. He's
Your
incredible.
driver guy? Is
Yeah.
it like Julian Driver?
No,
Oh.
Julian Driver's my no. But he was telling me that that's not the worst thing, right? You know why koalas don't have many natural predators?
Why?
And I said chlamydia, and he said no. Like fucking snakes don't give a fuck about chlamydia, right? Like dingoes don't care about chlamydia. So eucalyptus, right? When it heats up, fucking explodes, and it's like eucalyptus is like evolutionary thing. It's why there's more, because it will like fucking spread eucalyptus everywhere that will grow, right? So despite the fact that they may lose a few pandas every single year to that their fucking house blows up on them, like apparently eucalyptus will heat up and explode.
So
Even the fucking mint trees kill you in Australia. You could just be fucking walking by a tree that blows up.
So does that mean
it's
that
like-
the koalas pop then?
I don't know what. Yeah,
I don't know what you're
It's like the
saying.
land of Oz, for Christ's
No.
sake.
Like so eucalyptus is on a fucking tree, right?
Well, Tim said, so he lives in Australia, so he can tell us. He says, yes, forests explode in bad fires.
Yeah, it's fucking sucks.
All the trees in California are time bombs.
Yeah.
No
So
kidding.
apparently California, too.
Well, that's. I mean, any tree that has a lot of sap has that potential to explode.
Aries would know.
Right. Yeah. But,
Or be delicious.
Oh, yeah.
Up here anyway.
yeah. Well, I'm telling you, there's fucking pieces of chlamydia beers everywhere when those fucking things go off. Yeah, it's not good. Australia's the fucking worst place on earth. I gotta get Tim out of there. I'm working on it. I got some fucking people working on it. Like,
Oh, geez.
it's not good. What?
I don't.
You like chlamydia?
I'm not gonna fuck a panda.
Well, you could fuck a panda. I'm under the impression that they do not have any venereal diseases. It's koalas that are in
You
question.
know what? It doesn't fucking matter. Because I'm not gonna fuck a bear
Well, I don't know.
in or out of the gay community.
What about Jack Radcliffe?
Yeah.
I bet you if you made that kind of calendar, you'd do good, though. You're that demographic.
Yeah, I can make a calendar.
'Kay.
But I'm not gonna fuck any of them.
That's just what Brando may be full of shit. He, has a teaching job, and he asks me advice sometimes, so he obviously doesn't have fucking very good judgment.
I have a former teacher that works for me, and he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, okay, fair. But just the other day, Brando asked me, how do I make an impact in this one kid's life that I can't get close to? I said, kill his parents.
Jesus Christ.
That would make an impact.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not lying.
Yeah, might make Batman, but
Leanna wants to know, have you heard of the guy in Australia that got his gut bit by a spider on his dick twice?
twice.
Once wasn't enough.
Did you see
Like-
that video, Monster
like-
Zero?
Like back, like back to back or two separate times?
One time is enough, but twice, that's...
Wow.
What do you say to that?
Some people get struck by lightning twice. And they're the lucky ones.
Yeah. So I want to get back to Michael and talk a little bit more about Infinite Santa 8000. So the director's cut, roughly, and I understand you have a lot of other stuff going on as well, so it wasn't like you were just doing this, but roughly how long did it take for you to put the director's cut together?
So I think I animated the new scenes probably in like 5 weeks, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Like it was right. I think it was either right after or right before the release of the theatrical film when we were done. And it was at the label.
Okay.
And so that was the additional scenes, most of them.
Yep.
So let's say 5 weeks, and then the rest has been in about the last 6, 8, 9 months or so. Another one of the new scenes we replaced was about a week, probably. All the retouched shots are maybe 4 or 5. So all told, I mean, at least a few months of work. And like you said, it was all spread out. So like it would be, I have a couple of days here to do some retouch shots.
Yeah.
Or and I had to figure out all the technical stuff too about like, we had the final mix, and it was on Final Cut 7, which for those of you that are editors was the final cut in like the late 2000s and like 2010. So a lot of it was like going back online to old manuals of like, how do you set the right file for this to work, and stuff like that. Which, as a little aside for any editors out there, it was fucking great. Like new edit, like Premiere is fine, but it fucks up all sorts of stuff. Like old Final Cut's the best. So I'll get off my little technical high horse, but like it was so nice to go back into it. Like the computer's like 10 years old and it's still beautiful and awesome, and it's like it's so good. But anyway, but yeah. So in terms of actual time, we've been working on it ever since the theatrical film was released. But in terms of actual focus time of like really working on it, a little bit, a couple weeks after the film, and then more recently, the last 9 months or so, I'd say. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
And were you eyeballing this specific festival? Like, how did it come together that you were able to get Infinite Santa 8000, the director's cut, on the Boston Sci-Fi Fest?
It was just like a kind of ongoing, like, conversation kind of thing. Like, just can't go into the details too much, but
sure, yeah.
But definitely the kind of right kind of film for the right kind of fest, and they were pretty psyched to hear that this was an opportunity to play something that had never been seen before.
Yeah,
especially something because it's kind of unique because like it's out, but this really isn't out. And it's new, but it's not new. So I think that was pretty enticing, to be able to get something that not only has never been released, but never seen like at all, so yeah, I think does that answer? I don't know if that's a very good answer.
Yeah, no. Definitely. And it just, is there an eye towards doing another physical release, or is that just still to be determined at this point?
It's TBA, but I would love to do another release.
Yep.
So for a bunch of reasons. One, our film was only released, the theatrical version, on VOD and cable. So it never had a Blu-ray release. Like, we still have the rights to that. So I would love to do a Blu-ray of this. I don't know. We'd love to get it to play at some other festivals first, do some other screenings. Like I said, it's a little weird because it's new, but it's not new. Like, if you look on IMDb, the date is 6 years ago. But this film is drastically different. Like, I have no problem saying this is a different version. It's like seeing, like, I don't know, Army of Darkness versus, like, one of the other 3 editions, Or maybe even, okay, here's a good example. You know how if you watch Two Towers original cut, Faramir is like a dick who just gets in the way of the movie for 2 hours?
Yeah.
And then in the extended cut, he has real motivation. Like, it changes the film. I'm not comparing myself to Peter Jackson, but that's the difference in films with this. Like, it's really different. So, in terms of getting it out, I mean, definitely a couple more festivals would be wonderful.
Yeah.
And then just after that, see where it can live. Like, it's a bit of a question. We have our efforts and our assets and, our label with the other film and all sorts of cool stuff we can draw on. At this point, it's kind of like, it just kind of depends. And honestly, if any of you guys are trying to help us out, like, the best thing you can do is come to the premiere and just be enthusiastic, spread the word and all that stuff, and literally just be there as part of a good audience.
Yeah.
Because if people are there that are from the press that, enjoy the vibe, because it is one of those, it's like, seeing it with other people is just, with any film is great, but this one especially, there's some outrageous, crazy shit, and the gore is unbelievable. And, for the right kind of audience, there can be a lot of good visceral reactions to it. Like, Greg and I went as hard as we possibly could to gross people out, and we discovered it's very, very difficult in animation to push gore really far, because whenever you do, it still has that kind of wall of being animated. But that said, I mean, we have Santa in a jetpack waving his machete back and forth, cutting through monsters with body parts flying everywhere, and like little like chop 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 kind of sounds, So we did the best we could. I mean, like I said, the guy on YouTube discovered we have over 800 kills in it, so I think we did something right.
Yeah.
So,
Really?
Oh, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
yeah.
So I know it was joked about, but if you ever do it a live action, yeah, I'd volunteer for the Santa.
Oh yeah. You know, I think
That description, yeah, I'd volunteer for Santa.
I don't think we'd have to do that much for you. I think you got the beard and everything.
Oh yeah, no, the jetpack killing people. Oh yeah, no, I'm in.
How do you feel about being covered in blood?
I'm all for it.
It's his favorite Deadite song.
Awesome.
Me and
Nice.
Monster Zero actually figured out the perfect holiday role that Ares should have
Oh,
in a live action film.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
Does it
Tell
involve a tutu?
No, tell him Monster Zero.
He doesn't even know what you're talking about.
No, he knows. He doesn't know. Fuck.
I don't know.
The bad guy in Yogi Bear's Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Herman the
that's
Hermit.
old news.
Herman the Hermit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen that since I was like 6.
Oh man, it's one I watch almost every year. I don't think I caught it this year, but it's one I watch every year.
Yeah, that's been brought up before.
Oh,
Get
sorry.
with the times.
Yeah, sorry, fucking content editor.
I guess he's evolved
Try-
from Herman the Hermit to a killer Santa.
Yeah, fucking Triumph Riding.
Although
content
Ares has
editor.
to learn how to be jolly.
Just
Yeah,
Santa doesn't
right.
sound jolly.
Actually, it's funny you bring that up. One of the really smart things that Greg did when he did the first version of the script, because my original idea, like, I love horror, I love Christmas horror, you know, Christmas Evil, Don't Open Before Christmas, Santa Sleigh, Black Christmas, all that stuff. So I was thinking, and my instinct's always to go, like, you know, push things, make it, you know, tragic, scary, gross, whatever. And the smartest thing, I think, at the beginning, that was Greg's idea, was making Santa, like, still Santa, because he's a robot. So he's programmed to be jolly and want to bring people holiday cheer and all that stuff. But he's also a relentless killing machine. So I can't say that with a straight face, I'm sorry. But it does actually ground it, and it's funny because a bunch of our reviews mentioned that they were expecting a bloodbath. And it is, but it actually has a fairly large heart to it, you know, as well. So that is something I think makes it a little different. And I think it gives us opportunities for those down scenes like I was talking about, you know, the emotional kind of little rests. And, and it helps you get attached to the characters. And the other thing too is, like, you know, I have to mention our voice actors and artists. Like, there's one scene in particular with Santa and this little kind of almost like a daughter, you know, figure to him, named Martha, who's a little daughter robot. He's kind of adopted. There's one scene with the two of them that everybody who's seen the film and likes it really seems to like, and that's one that it took Greg and I 3 days to animate it. Like, that wasn't the effort. The effort was, you know, after working off the script, the performances, the music, the art, you know, like just everybody bringing that together. And to me, that's almost more impressive than all the blood and guts and stuff that we do, because a lot of that's very technical. It's like, yes, we have a lot of good art to work with, but it's like, how do you set up the shot? You know, how do you work with the program? You know, where your blood files are. Like, we know all those tricks to separate everything.
Yep.
But that heart, I'm really proud of. Like I said, I can only take a bit of credit for that. Like, that's just, if we didn't have such good people, you know, doing all the rest of that, it never would work. So I feel really lucky. There's only 3 actors in the whole movie too. By the way, yeah. We have,
Well, I don't know. I think if you get Ares, I mean, I can't picture him being jolly, though. I can't picture him being I think the only way you can make him jolly is if you give him 2 bottles of whiskey and a soundtrack to Les Miserables.
all right, we could do that.
No,
No,
cabaret.
Cabaret.
Yeah, because Les Mis, that's a very down show. That's not a jolly show.
Oh, it's not?
No.
I thought it was a laugh riot.
Maybe The Music Man. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's
no.
kind of upbeat, right? I mean, it gets a
Yeah,
little
it's
sad, but
upbeat,
not
yeah.
really.
No.
Never goes that bad.
Cabaret then.
What about cats?
Did you just comment in the chat room, Mars?
What is
No.
that?
Oh, okay.
I did. My name is
Oh,
Mars.
never mind. There's someone named Raven Shadow's Boiler.
Should be Raven Shadow's Boyle.
And they ask, Michael, did you leave enough meat on the bone for a potential sequel?
Well, so the movie takes place in the year 8000, hence Infinite Santa 8000.
Year 8000.
Oh my God, we totally missed out. We should have done that. Oh fuck. Oh, that's so obvious. Oh crap. But I bring it up because we have 6,000 years of backstory, all of which we've written out.
Oh, that's
in, like,
all.
pages and pages and pages and pages and pages. So yes, and we also have stuff that happens after the film, in between the film and the web series, other stories. There's other characters that we've had, like other like bounty hunters and stuff. Only one of which we've ever shown. Like there's an Easter Bunny in the film that's one of like a side character of other, because we envision this whole post-apocalyptic world with all these different creatures, and we've written like a live action script and like actual TV series where he goes all over the wasteland. There's like hive minds and monsters that live in giant mud slides on the side of what was it? There's something with like people that like have like their faces are missing and stuff like that. Like just all sorts of crazy shit. So yes, absolutely. We'd also love to do a live action version. At some point.
Aries, you could try out.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the funny things, so Greg and I always figured, like, I mean, it cost a whole shitload of money because ours is pretty epic, giant battle scenes and stuff. But in a perfect world, it would be amazing. But you know what I was saying before about trying hard to gross out people?
Yeah.
Well, the same efforts we would take to gross out someone in animation would be X-rated in live action. I mean, it would be like
just ask MZ how to do it.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, it would be like the end of Rambo, like the new one, for about like an hour and a half.
Oh my God!
Like I'm not kidding.
I'm ready. I'm psyched.
Oh my God, I would love that. It'd be
Speaking
so much fun.
of which, have you seen The Night Comes for Us? By the way, Michael.
No, I haven't.
Netflix movie directed by Timo Tahanto.
Oh, really?
And it is the most violent movie maybe ever.
It's the most violent movie I have ever seen.
Yeah, it's definitely up there.
It's an action movie, but
sold.
it's bloodier than any horror movie I've seen.
Yeah.
And the violence is insane. So
awesome.
Just if you want to see something that has a ton of violence, that was our number one film of 2018. So
really?
Yep.
I missed it. I will check it out.
Yeah,
I heard the title, but I didn't.
Yeah, it could almost qualify as a gore flick. It's
it could.
It's one of those movies
crazy.
that when you were a kid, it would be in the horror section, and you'd be like, "Oh, this is a mistake," and then you get it home, and you'd be like, "I kind of get it."
Yeah.
Right. Oh, awesome. Nice. I'll check that out.
Recommended.
Yeah.
Always looking for good stuff.
And Ravenchild's Boiler says, "Take my money after your answer."
Oh,
so
sweet, man. Awesome. You got it.
Maybe Ravenchild's Boiler can produce the film.
Could be.
Awesome, dude. If you have access to the post-apocalypse, you talk about Australia a lot. I mean, it would kind of work.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, like there were two movies. You have one on your shirt right now that were made with like dystopian, post-apocalyptic versions of a world. Detroit and RoboCop.
Yep.
In Australia and Mad Max, and I defy you to tell me that those two versions aren't better than real life Detroit and Australia right now.
I did wear this for that reason. Not the Australia comparison, but we did draw heavily on RoboCop for this movie. So that's one of the best movies ever.
For sure.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Now,
Yeah.
Michael, can people go and watch the web series? Is it available still online?
Absolutely. So the web series and the film, the original theatrical cut, is also available online. The web series is on YouTube. It's YouTube /Infinite Santa, I believe, or just search Infinite Santa. It pops right up. 13 webisodes. The film is also, I mean, you can rent it, Amazon. It's probably on Hulu. It changes on cable, a bunch of different places. But it's also available on YouTube for free, so you can watch it there too. So yeah, it's still out. I mean, I'd love to get back to it again. It's the kind of thing where it's a shitload of fun. It's a shitload of work, obviously, but it's so worth it. And, it's definitely one of the weirdest ideas I've ever had. And the fact that Greg and I were able to see it through to the end is kind of awesome.
I was kind of amazed when we did watch it. Like, that is just so much work. And, I know, like, at the time, I don't think you were a dad, but, now you're a dad and, you do work on, you do other work as well. So I just was amazed that you guys were able to put that together. It's a ton of work.
Thanks, man. It was, like I said, it was a small crew. It was Greg and I creating and animating. We had 6 artists, 1 colorist who was also an artist, 2 actors, and then me to do the rest of the voices. 4 people on music, sound mixer and his assistant, and that was it.
Yeah, that's
I might
pretty
miss one or
massive.
two people, and I'm really sorry if I did. Sorry, guys. But it's that's about
They're
right.
probably
and-
not listening.
Oh shit!
large.
And Joe Lemieux is our associate producer,
That's
as,
pretty
as-
large.
as well as an artist.
That's a
so,
large crew.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
size.
So.
It's
make
actually
everything
not.
sound-
yeah.
It's tiny.
It's
you
a
make-
tiny. Yeah, what are you
You
talking
make
about?
everything sound fucking lurid. That's good. It's good.
It's a good size.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
It's a good size. It's
Make
like
it bigger.
Yeah, it's like
Bigger.
Jesus. So obviously,
God.
this is the immediate thing coming up here. So on February 15th is the world premiere of Infinite Santa 8000, the director's cut, and it is playing at the Somerville Theater at the Boston Sci-Fi Film Festival. Which did you say 44th year or something like that?
44th year.
Fucking crazy.
Wow.
So
Yeah, they got some good shit planned. Dude, check out the rest of the fest. They got some amazing
it always
stuff.
is fucking
yeah,
awesome.
I'll have
it's
to
incredible.
I'll have to check out the rest of the lineup because I haven't really had a chance to dig in. And it's going on for a week.
Yeah,
Or
it
is it-
starts on I believe it's the 9th to the 17th.
Okay, so yeah,
pretty
so there you
sure.
go. So
Yeah.
a little over a week. Now I know personally, you have some other stuff in the works for the future. Is there anything that you're prepared to discuss?
Oh, I got a ton of shit. How much time do you have?
We got all night.
All right, awesome. So let's see. Well, Greg and I have some really cool shit coming up that actually I can't talk about
Yep.
specifically, but could be potentially awesome in a totally different genre than what we're doing now, which is pretty cool. That's kind of ongoing.
Mhm.
Joe Lemieux and I, so you guys know Joe.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
the fucking best.
Yeah, Joe's
Yeah,
awesome.
Joe's amazing. He's Uncle Joe to
So-
Jasper. He's like our,
Zombie Frank, right?
Zombie Frank.
Yep.
Zombie Frank, he is one of the artists on Infinite Santa. Every time you see a bone sticking out of a severed body or you see something cool in the background, that was him, most likely. And he was, we've done a lot of shit together. But anyway, we just finished our first cut, actually I think maybe the final cut of a short film that we're doing in a series of short horror films. We wrote these a while ago, and we filmed our first one in November down in Mashpee, and we've been cutting it between now. We just finished. It's about 4 minutes. The idea is they're called shock tales. We originally thought they were going to be 3-minute shock tales, but our first one's 4 minutes, so we're rethinking how many minutes it's going to be. But the basic idea is we're doing a series of short films to put out online, maybe some degree of a festival run beforehand or not, but the big thing is we want them to be seen. Like, I've seen tons of awesome movies at festivals, and sometimes you see them afterwards, sometimes you don't. And I always feel like with the shorts especially, like, I want to see these things, and sometimes if I can't afterwards, it's frustrating. So our big thing with these is to get them out and to keep pumping them out.
Yep.
And so we did one, it's kind of hard to describe. It's more of like a traditional tense, slow burn kind of horror, I suppose. We have one we're working on now, which is very, very different, like very stylized. I won't say specifically what kind of style, but it's something you haven't seen in about 100 years or so. So should be really fun. Joe's writing that now. So we got those coming out. Joe and I are also, we just finished a script for a feature horror film that we wrote to be done on a very small amount of people, but with a very large kind of impact. So filmed up in the Adirondacks. Don't want to say too much more than that, but we did it. We always have a lot of shit going on, obviously. But we really want to do a feature. We did it to keep it very simple. It has 2 actors. We did the special effects in a way that's very doable with some specific people in mind that could be able to do it and make it look really good. Practical effects.
Cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So everything you see is shot on camera.
Yes.
Yep.
Out in the environment.
Yep.
And Joe and I love all sorts of films. We're thinking of this as a very traditional, almost like, filmed like Halloween with like very, very long takes. A lot of like I watched Halloween again on Halloween because it's amazing. We always do, and it's my wife's favorite horror movie, so we always watch it. And it really struck me that what's so awesome about it is that if you watch what they actually talk about, they just talk about bullshit the whole time.
The whole fucking time.
They don't talk about anything until they notice that the killer's there, and then it's the last 10 minutes of the movie.
If there wasn't a Larry Trainer, Like there would be no like the boogeyman and that kid are the only linear ideas in that whole like fucking dialogue. Like it's amazing.
Exactly. So we use that as inspiration a bit. That like the film is, it's kind of a drama that's also a horror film because we really wanted to be able to get into these two people's lives, you know, and really just kind of dive in and get really attached to them. So I won't say anything more about it, but that's script's pretty much done, and we're gonna start kind of trying to put the pieces together and film it as soon as we can. I mean, it's in the Adirondacks. The only time that really makes sense is probably September. You know, just because it's so fucking hot up there. I've been going up there for years, so I know it really well. You don't want to go in the spring because black fly season is like, I haven't been up there, but everyone I know up there is like, don't come. Don't even bother. You can't go outside. It's miserable. You know, that's 8 months away from now. It might be a little too soon. It might not be. But, you know, like I said, it's pretty simple. If the pieces fall into place, we could do it now. If not, we'll wait. But that's super cool. We got... Oh, shit.
Let me comment real quick
go
on
ahead, jump
that.
in.
And Raven Shadow's Boiler says, "Now that I can't wait to see."
Yeah.
By the way,
Hey,
we
man.
know who Raven
Yeah, I
Shadow's
figured
Boiler
it
is
out,
now because he said, "Goddamn pal, I just might."
Yeah.
So,
Get that girl a fan.
but that
Nice.
sounds really cool. And obviously, I've seen you sort of talking about it on social media and Justin talking with you, so I know a little bit about that, and it sounds super interesting. And I love just the concept of what you guys are going for. So even if you can like realize it even a little bit, I think it'll be very impactful.
Well, thank you. Yeah, the name of it's The Unfamiliar is our title.
yeah,
Nice.
that's
I like that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we went up to the Adirondacks to do some location scouting, and just it was fun. It was like a kind of like the kind of like romantic ideal of a writer where you go up somewhere and get inspired and write and shit like that.
Yeah.
Well, we actually did it, and it was fucking great. Like we went up to this cabin and we brought some beer and some like Lovecraft books on tape and like shit like that, and just like went out and checked out some locations, and we'd done a bunch of pre-writing already and just kind of talked about shit and random stuff. But one night Joe got kind of freaked out, and when he was trying to fall asleep, thought of the title and wrote it down.
Nice.
So I don't want to embarrass you for saying that, Joe, but I thought that was a really cool way to come up with it. So,
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Now that's an interesting thing because it's something that I kind of swear by. How important would you say like it's I didn't know it was a real term, but pre-writing is like
I'd say it almost always is. Like, bless you. Like, I don't know. I've written a couple things where I didn't do it, and they turned out well or okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I find so much if I just dive in, I get halfway through and I'm lost.
Right.
So, I know with Greg and I especially, I mean, Greg and I have written 18 short stories, 3 or 4 feature films, like 12 short scripts, like tons and tons of stuff. We always pre-write as much as we can so you can draw on it. So I'd say it's as important as it can be. Like for this one, Joe and I went in, like we pre-wrote for like 3 or 4 months just about the concept and the world and the whole idea of it, before we even wrote anything down on the page. And we had general ideas of the characters, but, those were almost secondary.
right.
I mean, they were really important, but we didn't want to force them into something that we were still just kind of like, creating. So, but, then again, I know, when Greg wrote Infinite Santa, he did a shitload of pre-writing and then just sat down and it popped out.
Right.
Like I know Martha just kind of, appeared out of his brain. So it can work, different ways. But
Yeah, there are obviously no rules, but like I think that it's a matter of like especially for like film. I think maybe more for any other medium than any other medium. Like I feel like you have to sort of know what you're cooking before you get into the kitchen. You know? Like, not to say it can't go another way, but like, I feel like my impression of it, of only, doing it to failure, makes me realize that if you don't have it, you're just gonna, you can meander,
Sure.
Like,
hey, dude, I've written and filmed a failure so many times. It's all good. There's tons of shit that either never sees the light of day or I hope it doesn't. So it's all it's all good. But no, sure. Well, and then on the other hand, Stephen King says in On Writing that he just dives in and starts writing.
Yeah.
So and he's amazing. So I guess it depends on each person.
Yeah, it's sort of like that. The analogy you just made, Mars, about like like a cook. Like there's some chefs that will just take the ingredients that they have and whip up some fucking delicious meal. And there's people like me. I need to have a fucking recipe.
That's
to
actually
be able to
is
make
exactly how I like there's some stuff that, as you know, Wolfie, I cook all the time, and now that is
Yeah.
almost like a recipe. But all that stuff, when I like, quote unquote, like create, even my like, I made my sauce tonight, and like,
Did you stir it?
oh, I stirred the shit out of it. You should see some pictures. It's thick with marinated kielbasa in it. It's no joke. But like, I just go in there. I'm like, what if I have sweet and sour sauce? I have this crock pot. I have all this like meat. Like what am I gonna do here? But so, that was probably a bad analogy from a personal point of view. Cause it's the opposite of that. I gotta say something, and this is like very Monster Zero and Michael Raven shadowy of me. But there's a story behind it. We sat down. So recently, I've started like actually like I've been in a film, and I'm probably gonna be in another one soon, and it was something I never thought that was gonna happen.
Are you angling for a role here?
Well, but here's the thing, I am.
Aries is. Everyone's begging for roles.
I'll just flat out ask. I'm not angling. I'll just ask.
No, but here's the thing, because I don't generally do this, but like before I ever thought about being in a movie, we had a conversation with Mike about like spatial awareness, which is like something in film that like I'm like kind of like strangely.
That's
like,
still
yeah.
And I will say, just to add on to that real quick, that's still one of the coolest conversations that I've had with a filmmaker, Michael. We were at Uno's. I think it might have been after. Was it after Rock and Shock?
Yeah.
And we were just talking about Hellraiser and how like. You got the lay of the house because of the way it was shot, and we're just talking about spatial awareness and how important that is for certain films. So I just thought that was such a cool conversation, and me and Mars referenced that here and there. Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks,
So
man.
like the I said on that day, like at that table, like if I have to hold like a boom mic or if I have to like, do anything, like I want to be on one of that guy's shows.
Yeah,
So like
absolutely.
like anything you need, like I'll make time. So
Awesome.
if you
Thank
need me
you.
to get hit with a hammer, if you need me to
He did beat up MZ on camera.
And you know what I've been telling, a lot of people, specifically Brian Pollan for years, like, you have to do all this fucking editing to make it look like, Monster Zero knows how to use a sword. Like, just like fucking give Tiny and I swords.
All right, there you go.
And you won't, like, I'll probably get
You'll
stabbed
kill
and
each other,
die.
yeah.
But, like, somebody will.
That'll look good on camera.
Right.
Not someone will. You will.
Yeah, no, I know.
He
I
will
know.
kill you. That's just.
Yeah. He's definitely, like, one of us has definitely tried to light the other one on fire, and it's not me.
I do think it's kind of awesome you guys reference that, because anybody that works with me will recognize that, because it's one of those things. Like when you work in a film, you have to compromise. Obviously, everyone works together. It's bigger than all of you. But that's something that I'm always like super, super, super focused on and not fucking up. And the handful of times I have, I remember, a lot. So it's cool that left an impression with you guys. 'Cause,
Yeah,
that's something I like to
I think
take
about it a
pride in,
lot. Yeah.
That's
It's
awesome.
it's like a lesson that when I do, and I can't think of the last time I wrote probably the Stealing Tori Amos and the one before it, which was 1990 something. Is that right, Aries? Does that sound reasonable? 2000 something?
It sounds about right.
Yeah,
yes.
like that was the second one. So probably around 2000 something. I haven't written in a while for film is the point, but like I've always in my head tried to like wanted to like use that lesson, like
sure.
I felt like it was like something that I really like learned. So maybe my teacher friend should talk to you and not me.
Nice.
So this kid's just thinking about fucking dogs.
Oh Jesus!
Dog fucking brought to you by Sugar Smacks.
Dig it. So I think we'll wind down this segment. Is there anything else, Michael, coming up? I obviously like the biggest focus is the director's cut of Infinite Santa 8000. But is there anything else you wanted to discuss today?
Yeah. So real quick, we have some new Jasper Tales in the works.
Ooh.
Yeah, finally. Any of you have been following me know I've been talking about this for a while, but we've had some pretty awesome developments with Jasper Tales that are still in the works. I can't talk about yet, but all has been well, and we have some new stuff that's been. Actually, I need to just get Jasper to record it, because when he first did it, he was 4.5, and he was awesome, but his delivery now is like so good. So
yeah.
In the credits, I'm gonna have to put down written by Jasper Neal, age 4.5, narrated by Jasper Neal, age 6.5. Yeah. So we got a couple lined up. We have one immediately that I want to do. I know Joe is itching to do those anytime.
Yeah.
He does the art for those, and he's spectacular. And actually, as a funny little aside, when I came back from the film shoot I think it was the Shock Tales shoot in November. Jasper was asking me, saw me bring in all the gear in the house, you know, because the film is very practical. It's like shitloads of like lights and stands and boxes and, you know, things with cables and stuff like that. And he looked at me, asked me about it, and he said, "Can we do a live action sometime?" and of course I said yes. And in my mind, I'm like imagining like our whole kitchen's going to be covered in fake blood.
Yeah.
Like, which I've done myself before, so I'm not criticizing. I think it's a bad thing, but it's like you're going to learn that you don't touch anything when you touch the effects, because the person with the camera never touches the fake blood because it gets everywhere. You know. So yeah, that's probably the big stuff.
So
we
that's
talk
great.
about
Yeah.
now, yeah.
Jasper, best interview we ever did.
It might be. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just like,
just-
you gonna do more? Nah.
Oh, actually, one last thing.
Yeah.
I'm finally putting Jasper Tales on Instagram just to kind of build up.
Oh,
I mean,
nice.
It needs
Nice.
to be there anyway because a lot of our fans are. I mean, so I'm friends with a lot of like a lot of moms who like, you know, they share those things like, I'm a mom that drinks wine and swears at, you know, around my kids and stuff, you know, which is great. But I found a lot of groups like that found us through Instagram, and they seem to just be finding us and not really soliciting them. I've only been on for about a week or so, but I'm slowly posting stuff up there. Each Jasper Tales under a minute, which means that the videos can be on there in their entirety, you know, because you need to be 59 seconds, you know, or less. So anyway, if you guys could, if you're on Instagram, just, you know, follow Jasper Tales, check it out, leave a comment, leave a like, whatever, tell your friends.
I'll do it right now.
We'll be rolling them out for a while, but I'm mostly trying to build up things now so that when we're in production on the new Jasper Tale, I can just share shit there, and, you know, people always love that. But also just that by the time the new one comes out, we have another audience for it, because we're on Facebook already. It's facebook.com/Jasper Tales Movies, and Instagram is also called Jasper Tales Movies, because there's another Jasper Tales about a dog that got the name first. So nothing
Right.
against dogs. I have a dog. I love dogs. But
Yep.
Not quite as much as Monster Zero.
no, I don't go to that end.
I'm gonna follow right now.
Yeah. So
Look,
Boom.
hey,
Followed.
nice. Thank you, man.
the dog humped me first. Okay,
Really? That's your defense?
it's the only one I got right now.
That's and speaking of which, there's a really sweet picture with you, Jasper, and Skip Shea after Jasper had
Yeah, I
won an
love it.
award at the. Sean
I
Shea
actually
Film
took
Fest.
a bunch
Yeah.
of pictures that I keep scanning by and
Oh, really?
forget, like of me and Jasper and you and Jasper after Skip Shea. So I'll
I,
remember.
I might
sending
have
you
some as well from Rock and Shock last year and some other stuff. So I'll have to look, see if I can dig some of those up if you need some other stuff.
Hell yeah! Just text them over
Yeah.
or share them
Yeah.
on Facebook, and I'll download them. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff is great.
So everyone,
You know.
if you want to go ahead and follow Jasper Tales on Instagram, it's just Jasper Tales, right?
Jasper Tales Movies.
Jasper
Yeah.
Tales Movies. That's it. Okay, I
It's-
just followed it and I forgot.
Yeah, no
So,
worries.
Yeah, just do a look for Jasper Tales Movies, and you can follow Jasper Tales exploits and see all sorts of stuff on
It's
there.
great. It's
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite things ever.
It's
You know what
super
is
fun.
know what else is funny about it? We have a song called "Soundtrack of the Damned," which has the chorus like Latin prayers are spinning my head around. It's a nice little love song about an exorcism, and
Nice.
it is a concerted effort for me not to sing Jasper Tales. Like instead, like I have to really
Oh,
think
you
about
should, man.
Make a remix.
it. Yeah,
If you ever want to sample his voice, let me know. He's amazing on the microphone.
I will.
So.
why is this?
Oh, there we go. Raven Shadow's Boiler just posted the Instagram handle right in the chat room. Jasper Tales Movies. There you go.
Oh, thanks, man.
So, all right, Michael. I know you probably got a lot going on. Are you going to stick around for a little bit, or are you gonna hit the road?
I can chill. Whatever.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the movie. I don't know if you've seen the movie, but we're going to take a quick break. Well, we're probably all going to give Michael a hug since we haven't done so yet. And we'll be back in just a few moments, and we're going to be talking about the Netflix exclusive film Polar. We'll be back in just a moment.
Do you love a scary story? Do you love to dance? The Big Scary Monster Haunts at Midnight is a collection of dark songs about sex, love, death, revenge, and the end of the world. Brought to you by the world's greatest monster hunting electroshock band, the Deadites. available on iTunes, Google Music, Amazon, CD Baby, and all other digital distribution sites.
Thank you guys for having me on. It's a blast. You guys are awesome.
Thank you so much.
And, Trick or Treat Radio, man. That's where it's at. That's the new Fangoria Radio is Trick or Treat Radio.
Oh,
Don't say that.
It's like, you really put us under.
It's like swearing in church. I
You
don't know.
just jinxed us.
Yeah. you put a lot on our shoulders just now.
Well, we can strive for
You
greatness.
guys are awesome.
Yeah,
you really
just
are. You
say
got a
that again
great show.
slowly.
Oh, delicious nerds. Ms. M knows you like to chat it up with other sexy shut-ins about comics, movies, video games, and your favorite TV shows. If that sounds like you, cuddle up to the Trick or Treat Radio Facebook group, or the FIB. That stands for Fan Interaction Board. Just go to Facebook and search for Trick or Treat Radio and have more fun than a Jedi at a lightsaber sale. Not enough? Watch us on YouTube, The Deadites TV, all one word. Last but not least, check out the world's most dangerous talk radio show, Trick or Treat Radio, at trickortreatradio.com.
I could be staying outside a woman's prison in a fistful of 50s and a bouquet of dildos, and no woman would come near me.
All right, we have returned on Trick or Treat Radio.
Hey, we're back.
Yes, jam-packed show so far. We had Bill, we got Michael, we got a movie to talk about. Lots going on. I got a marker down on my feet. What the fuck?
The fun never stops.
Yes, all sorts of shit going on. So we're probably running a little later than we wanted to, but hey, we're having fun, so that's all that matters. But we're now going to talk about the film Polar. And Polar was just released this past Friday, the 25th of January, on Netflix. It is a Netflix exclusive, and it is rated TVMA. It is 1 hour, 58 minutes, and it's an action crime movie, and is directed by Jonas Åkerlund, and it is written by Jason Rothwell. And the film stars Mads Mikkelsen, Vanessa Hudgens, Catherine Winnick, Faye Wren, Ruby Fee, Matt Lucas, Robert Mayette, Anthony Grant, and Richard Dreyfuss. Did you guys notice the cameo?
Yes.
That was fucking crazy.
I have a question about that scene. It's really been tripping me out all day. Obviously not, right?
Well, we haven't even got into it yet.
I know, but it's been really bothering me. Like Mr. Miller was on my mind right around the time that Monster Zero posted that, because I felt like there was a guy who looked just like him in that bar scene. Like I went and looked and I couldn't find anything, so I assumed maybe it wasn't, and I started thinking about it, and then I did.
You're talking about Dick Miller.
Yeah, right. So like,
Oh.
like there's a scene where he sits down and like somebody looks at him right away, and did I think it was Dick Miller? Like, and they linger on him for a weird amount of time, which made me think like, why would they just fucking have like a 18-second shot of this guy? You know,
I have
like,
no idea.
so.
Hey, dude, I don't mean to jump in. I just saw what time it is. I think I actually do have to go.
Well, that's sort of why I was like, well, maybe.
No, I was looking at the clock from here. I thought it was like 20 minutes earlier. So I hate to bust out in the middle of a bit, but I think I actually have to leave. I'm sorry, guys.
It's quite all right. Well, at least now that
Yeah.
we come back from the break, you can say goodbye to the folks. So before we jump into the movie, it was awesome hanging out with you, Michael. Always a pleasure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love you guys, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
And
We'll
Michael.
be in touch.
Thank you.
And once
Thank you,
again,
guys.
for anyone out there within driving distance, February 15th, the Infinite Santa 8000 Director's Cut World Premiere will be at the Boston Sci-Fi Film Fest in Somerville, Massachusetts. And it'll be, like I said, Friday, February 15th at 11 p.m. So if you're interested, you want to see the world premiere of the Director's Cut, get out there. Tickets are available. You can buy them. Can you buy them online for this? Do you know, Michael?
You sure can.
Okay.
The link is on the either infinitesanta.com or at Boston Sci-Fi Film Fest or our event on Facebook or whatever.
There you go.
Yeah,
So
geez.
everyone, if you want to get there and you want to make sure you see it, I would recommend buying tickets early just to ensure you get in the door. Otherwise, you're taking your chances. And I believe, as Michael said, I believe they sell alcohol. So if that's your thing,
Yes.
and they also have really good popcorn there.
Yeah, the popcorn's really good. And the theaters there are gorgeous, too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
We went to see a Buster Keaton
Yep.
double feature there a
Yeah,
few
it's
years
great.
ago.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
And I drank alcohol.
And that's also the same theater we saw that VHS documentary with,
yeah.
I can't remember the name of that one, but
Be Kind Rewind, was it?
I don't think so.
Or just your tracking?
Yes, I think that was it. So yeah, cool theater, and I know that Professor J does a lot of stuff there. Actually, I wonder if Professor J will be at.
Yeah,
He
he
usually
usually
comes
comes
up
in
for
for
the
that
sci-fi
festival.
fest.
Yeah, he does. I was wondering that myself.
So I'll have to touch base with him, because if he's going to be there, then maybe we'll have to make a trip there as well. We'll get a lot of stuff coming up. So Michael, thank you once again for coming in, and it's always a pleasure, my friend.
You're welcome, guys. Later.
Best
All
of
right.
best of luck
Bye.
with the world premiere. I hope you guys have a great turnout, and obviously best of luck with everything else you got coming up.
It's
I
awesome.
can't
Yeah.
wait to see the other stuff that you're working on.
Pretty
Yeah, I
awesome,
can't wait to
man.
share it with you guys. Thanks for your support. Always. Always.
Absolutely,
Always.
my
Thank you for
friend.
yours, man.
Thank you. No
Yeah,
problem.
thank you.
All
All
right,
right,
dudes.
Michael, take care, man.
You too.
So our dear friend, while Michael's still in the room, not hooked up, our dear friend Rocky saw the fisheye lens photo that you took.
Yes.
And he said, that fisheye lens shot, the Beastie Boys did not age well. And Sir Isaac says, Raven Shadow looks so much better without his glasses.
That's good. That's funny. All right, so let's jump into Polar.
And I saw that, yeah, you said that Robert Mallet is in this, and that's Kurgan.
Yes, hell yes, it's Kurgan.
Uh,
Oh,
He's
Michael's back.
I can't believe I forgot my bag.
Oh, Michael's handing out stuff.
Uh-oh.
This is a Grimm Films pen from our company.
Oh, look at that.
hey.
Awesome.
Company that makes drive-in horror shows. So there you go.
Whoa.
So we got a Grimm Films pen donated by Michael. This is a great pen. Thank you, Michael. We got that. We got some the world premiere Director's Cut Infinite Santa 8000 cards. So Michael hooked us up. So, all right, well, let's jump into this flick, because we're not going to have a ton of time to talk about it, and I was excited to talk about it. And Polar, let me go ahead and read the synopsis. The world's top assassin, Duncan Vizsla, is settling into retirement when his former employer marks him as a liability to the firm. Against his will, he finds himself back in the game, going head-to-head with an army of younger killers. So let me set the scene on this one here, because this is based on a Dark Horse comic book called, of a similar name, Polar Came from the Cold, and it is written and drawn by Victor Santos, who is Mars, a collaborator of Alex DeCampi's.
Yep, the most underrated working writer, artist in the business.
There you go. And so the original comic was released as a webcomic without any word balloons or any dialogue at all. So I guess I read a little bit about it, and Victor saw it as a kind of a widescreen format because he liked having the sort of widescreen feel of a web browser. So that's why he originally did it as a webcomic. And then it was later released as a collection by Dark Horse, and he realized, I think the main reason was he found it difficult because he wanted it to translate in all languages. That's why he didn't really add the word bubbles. He wanted to make it a visual style of storytelling. But, and he also didn't want to have it translated for all these different languages. So that's why it originally had no dialogue. But as Dark Horse picked it up, he ended up adding dialogue and word balloons to it. And at this point, I think there's been 3 collections released, and I think there's a 4th that's coming out sometime later this year, if I'm not mistaken. So it obviously picked up steam, and obviously now it's a Netflix exclusive flick. So,
well, not to linger too much on the comics, but when you say added word bubbles, took the existing comic and just put the word bubbles, or
added dialogue and word.
So it just took what was already drawn and just added the word bubbles to it.
Added more of a cohesive story with more of a narrative. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think there was additional pages added as well to flesh it out. I've actually never read Polar, so I don't know for sure, but and it was I believe all of the collections. Like I said, I haven't read it, but it was in black and white and red. So though it really had a limited color palette, it was black and white with some red here and there, and I think that it drew inspiration, as we'll probably talk about a little bit more, from Frank Miller and some other artists like that. And the film was directed by Jonas Ackerlund, who has done hundreds of music videos from everyone from Madonna to Rammstein to U2 to Smashing Pumpkins and a ton in between. Like even like a lot of pop stars.
Material Girl Host.
No, he didn't do Material Girl. But he's done a ton of music videos, and he also has another film coming out very shortly called Lords of Chaos, which looks pretty interesting and is about Norwegian black metal. And it's actually, I don't know if it's a biographical story about Varg, who, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the band now. But one of the preeminent black Norwegian black metal bands who used to burn churches and shit like that. So, and it stars Rory Culkin, of all people.
Wow.
So it looks pretty cool. It's been getting some pretty good praise, and that's going to be hitting theaters later. I believe in February. I think you could see it in limited theaters. So Lords of Chaos looks pretty interesting. But for now, we're talking about Polar, and obviously this also stars Mads Mikkelsen, who I think is just a fucking badass in pretty much everything he does. Like this guy just like oozes like this cool charisma on screen. I don't know if you guys agree with me.
I agree.
Yeah.
I have a picture of him that I bought by accident.
That you bought by accident.
I thought I was Ryan Gosling.
How can you mix the two up?
It was like a painting.
Still, how can you mix that up?
How can you mix the two up?
I'll fucking bring it next week, and you tell me if you don't fucking see the gods.
I'm looking at Mads right now, and I don't see.
Humble you. Shut up.
I just don't see it.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. Maybe put a fucking tail and whiskers on him, and then you'll see plenty. Stay away from my cat. Meow too.
The fuck does that even mean? I don't know. Moving on.
All right, so I believe that's all the setup I had here. So let's jump into this flick, and right off the bat we get a little cameo from Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah.
Which I guess there is like some press about this that Mads didn't even know that Johnny Knoxville was in this movie because obviously they didn't shoot together. So someone asked him about the cameo, and he was like, "Who?" He didn't know anything about it. So I just thought that was kind of funny. But we get Johnny Knoxville's character is, I think he's in Chile, if I'm not mistaken. He's retired in Chile, and
about to retire.
About to retire, yeah. And then there's this group of young assassins who infiltrate his house and conspire to kill him so they can get his, as we find out, get his money. So it just kind of sets the scene nicely. It introduces us to these younger assassins, and also kind of sets the scene for what's, of what the plot will be of these older killers that are the older assassins that are retiring, and this company Damocles they basically want to assassinate the assassins before they turn 50, which is when they retire, so that
because they're in financial strife and they need to.
Well, they're not really in financial strife per se, but
they owe like nearly $30 million.
Yeah, and the assassins get a nice sort of like retirement plan, bonus, and if. And no assassin in their right mind is going to leave the money to a next of kin.
Yeah, and if they signed a contract saying that if they were to be killed off before the retirement age, that all the money that all the benefits and the bonuses and all the money that they would have made would go back to the company.
Goes back to Damocles. So, it's kind of a bit of a racket here, but that's just the way it goes. So.
That's the assassination game for you.
The Assassination Nation. So we have Johnny Knoxville. Obviously, he doesn't last very long. This is the opening scene.
Well, I don't know. I think he lasts okay.
Yeah.
Depends on how you view it.
I mean, if there's a way to go, that's how you do it.
You want to talk about that scene, then, MZ?
Oh, sure. Yeah, so he's enjoying his luxurious retirement lifestyle in this beautiful mansion. Nice pool. He's got a babe in the water.
A babe in the water.
A total babe in the water. And he starts snorting coke, Nick Cage style, and next thing you know, they start going at it. And next thing you know, he's just like resting back on his chair while she starts blowing him.
Hey, let's not forget. Let's not forget he needs to pop the Viagra.
I wasn't sure if that was the Viagra.
That was Viagra. Don't play like you've never seen that pill before.
I've never seen that pill
before.
What would
he need it for?
It wasn't.
He has sex.
What did he need it for?
For himself
What did he
masturbating.
need it for? Yeah.
Well, one, he's old. Two, he's on coke.
No, I mean, what would Monster Zero need it for?
Yeah, exactly. I don't need Viagra. Look at me. I'm a stud.
And so as this is happening, we have the other assassins are sort of like getting into place. One with a sniper rifle, the others are getting closer, so they can sort of rush the scene, and they're obviously trying to kill him. That's he's their hit, and they do, and they succeed, and we get a sort of a glimpse into these characters. I think there's 5 of them, right? There's the 2 women, one of which is portrayed by Faye Wren.
Faye Wren, a great femme fatale.
Who she was recently in Supergrid, which we reviewed, and it actually plays kind of a similar role as well.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So we had so she was awesome.
I didn't even catch the connection on that.
You're right. So Faye Wren, she was pretty awesome in this. We also had Catherine Winnick, who was sort of I don't even know what her role was per se, but she played Vivian, and she was the sort of go-between between Duncan and the company Damocles. But she was with Damocles, but they didn't really ever show her kill, so I don't know if she was an assassin or if she was sort of like, I don't know, administrative or what her role was.
She was human resources.
Yeah. HR.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then there was Carl.
And I wanted to make a mention of Catherine Winnick plays Lagertha in Vikings, if anyone has seen that show. She's the most iconic woman character from that show. So that's what she's most known for. And, obviously she's done other movies as well. But who are you going to say, MZ? Carl played by Robert
Mayette, yeah.
Who, as you mentioned, former Kurgan from WWF.
Yep. Former Oddity.
Yes.
And Anthony Grant, who played Facundo.
Yep. So we had some pretty cool, like, characters that they didn't really give. I kind of, one of the things I wish is that they had, like, maybe, I guess they each had their own sort of gimmick in a way. Like we had Facundo had the sniper rifle, and was it Alexei, who played by Josh Cruddas? he was sort of like he always had handguns, and so we had like they sort of all had their gimmicks, sort of.
And
but
Ruby Fee was who played Cindy. He was the sexy
Fatale.
The sexy Fatale, yeah.
I kind of wish they had more defining characteristics, maybe. Not that I couldn't tell them apart. They're very easy to tell apart, but I guess I would have preferred to have something that really sort of hit you.
Well, that was super Frank Millery too, because I felt like they did all kind of have a distinct look.
Yes,
but they didn't have a lot of like a lot to do.
Right.
If you think of the I forget the character's name, maybe Ares can, but the main character's heavies in a Big Fat Kill. Like one of them has the swastika thing, and one of them's like the big guy, and like they're like very memorable all their own, but they're like really only last maybe if they last 6 panels. It's like astounding. So.
Well, I mean, all these characters are very unique, but they're not individuals.
Right.
I mean, you had the sniper, but then everyone else was just kind of the same.
Right.
Yeah, and that's sort of what I mean. Like, there's no really defining characteristic to the characters. Like, I guess I would have liked to have, like, something. And I think that Frank Miller does that. Like, I mean, I'm not as big of a Sin City fan. Well, I shouldn't say I am a fan, but I haven't read as much as Ares or Mars has. But I feel like those characters have a bit of more of an edge to them. You know, like they have a thing that they do. Like this is this character and this is this character, and these were all just assassins, and they had their weapons that they used. So I guess I just would have preferred to have a little bit more.
At some point, though, they existed without dialogue too, so that might be symptomatic of that.
Well, they did have certain personalities that were significant only to them. Let's see, like Cindy, she was like the sexy assassin,
sexy babe in the water.
You got Faye Wren, who is basically the heartless femme fatale. I mean, she just went after everybody without even thinking about it. You got Carl, who I guess, and maybe Facundo as well. You could say that they're the muscle of the group.
Well, Facundo's the sniper.
Yeah,
the
he was
sniper.
A sniper.
Okay, yeah.
Carl was
Carl
the
would
muscle.
I guess you could say was the muscle. Alexei, probably in
probably
training.
more intelligence.
Yeah,
probably intelligence. Probably in training.
Well, I don't think he was in training.
No, he wasn't.
I don't know.
He was an assassin.
Well, no, there was certain areas in which he was up close in situations where he was starting to get a little nervous as what's going on with what's going on.
Give an example.
Yeah, I can't think of that.
Are we gonna play this fucking game again?
Well, no, because I don't understand what you're saying.
What you're saying, yeah.
Of course you don't.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Jesus, try talking to these people.
To these people. I don't want to get too deep into it, but I didn't necessarily have a problem with the way they were portrayed. I'm kind of at a loss for, maybe a better thing would have been, I know we keep bringing this fucking movie up, but the night comes for us. All the characters in that were like so fleshed out with just little things. Like there was the one with the yo-yo weapon, like the yo-yo with the string where she would choke, like fucking tear people's heads off with. And there was the girl with the kukri, although there was a kukri in this movie, which was a pretty funny scene. But, I guess I would have just liked to have seen a little bit more distinction between the characters. That's all. It's just a tiny nitpick. So, let's see. So
and they're all run by this guy named Blute. Is that how it's pronounced?
Blute, yeah.
Blute, yeah. Who I absolutely love to hate this guy.
Yeah, he was a good love to hate guy.
He was a great love to hate guy because he's displaying all this power with all the money that he has, telling people what to do. But when the chips are down, he's nothing more than a big old coward.
Yeah, and that sort of goes. I don't want to jump to the end, but I do want to sort of foreshadow something. I was a little disappointed with some of the stuff that happened at the end of this, but having said that, I also agree that the way things happened made sense given his character.
I think the way it was handled, film wise, what scenes were shot, I think the way it ended worked very well as well.
Yeah. So so Duncan is Duncan's played by Mads Mikkelsen, and he's trying to get out of the game. He wants to sort of his last 2 weeks. He just wants to lay low, like that's kind of his deal, so he can make it to retirement. And he gets another job in Belarus, which he wasn't sure if he was going to take, and then he ends up taking it. And while he's there, he realizes that he was the one that was targeted. So he realizes that someone is gunning for him, in essence. So he's sort of now on the offensive, or on the defensive as well. And then he goes. He's staying in Montana, which is where his sort of like permanent residence is going to be. And he also keeps having these flashbacks to an event, maybe an assassination gone wrong or something like that. We keep seeing these little flashbacks of this one scene with a limo. And, that will certainly play a part later on, but we keep seeing that like here and there. And, he's just trying to like take it easy in Montana, and he's staying in his wood cabin basically, and just living in the small town, and just wants to live out his days here, it seems like. And then, these young guns, these young assassins come looking for him as they're ordered to do from Damocles, the company that Duncan works for. And they go to all his homes, basically. Like, he has homes all over the country. They go looking for him, and then they finally track him down. And, I think we could probably stop there, because that's at a point where we may be getting into slight spoiler territory, and I don't want to get too deep into that. Obviously, there are assassins, people die, there's shootouts, and I want to now sort of move into like impressions about the flick. What I know, Mars, you said earlier you were excited to talk about this.
Yeah, one thing that I will say is, at first I hated this movie.
At first, you mean?
Like, I would say until we really started to get into Montana. And I just felt like it was real try-hardy. I felt like, I might have been a little more palatable if I knew that it had come from like a comic book, and that, like, in adapting comics, they tend to have, it's hard to do that over-the-top aesthetic without in a real background. One of the things where I feel like Sin City succeeds, and like something outrageous like I always say around Papaku succeeds, is that they're computer generated.
Wait, what, I just want to make sure I know what you're talking about.
I forget the director's name, but it's got Josh Hartnett and Baraku, I think it's called.
Bonraku.
Bonraku, right? Yep. Yeah, Mike Patton does the narration. Like, these are things that are outrageous, and they have computer generated backgrounds. Hellboy is very like outrageous in its tone, but it's almost entirely sets, right? Like, they like really sort of like kind of film this in like real world, like without knowing it came from comics. Like, it just kind of just seemed obnoxious. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't getting the joke. But I think that once this got to Montana, it both wore its influences less on its sleeve and leaned into them in different times, because this definitely you saw the you saw the places where it like leaned into, you know what I mean? And then you saw more of the Frank Miller, and you saw a bit of the kind of for me it was Lone Wolf and Cub, and I had to kind of come a long way around to what probably everybody else thought.
Lone Wolf and Cub?
Did I? That's the episode title. Lone Wolf and Cub, and I'm protected by Raven Shadow being here. Like, when I don't, I only get to talk so much amongst the rambling. But I came a long way around, and to see that, The Professional, and then there's some some of the Lady Vengeance trilogy in this thing's DNA, but mostly I saw a lot of like Frank Miller, and I didn't know that, that it was, directly a comic until I was looking for artwork to do my logging, and didn't know it was Frank Miller influenced until you brought it up. And I think that that's a really hard thing to translate, Aries. Wouldn't you agree? Like Frank Miller, to be able to put that over and have a monochrome of restraint, I guess it's, you know what I mean, is like a harder thing to do, I think.
It's a weird thing to do. I wouldn't say a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to relay.
Right. Yeah, that's thank you.
I think at the beginning of this movie, if you had said influenced by Frank Miller, anyone that knew Frank Miller would understand a lot more of it a lot sooner.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Yeah, like I get it. Like, because it's just an aesthetic there that, like, I felt like I should be loving this, but didn't, like, really get it. You know what I mean? And then, I think where I really understood this, got the cut of this Jibs movie, is when the assassin crew, like, encountered the squatters.
Yeah.
And that one kid tried to escape. Like, I think I, like, really kind of fucking got...
Oh.
Yeah, got where it was coming from, and got its kind of, where the world... I understood this world. You know what I mean? I understood that it is cartoony. It is, which I think that the only thing that I'll take away from this movie is I feel like it was a little... I felt the tone to be initially a little herky-jerky. But... it definitely won me over. I enjoyed this. I was disappointed. Again, this was a Frank Millerism of, like, you build up these characters and it's sort of anticlimactic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's almost like it happens a lot in Batman movies. Like, fucking the Black Deacon or whatever his name is here is just too fucking good, right? It doesn't matter. You spend a lot of time building up characters just to show how good he is, So, and this definitely, probably wouldn't have got made in a world where John Wick doesn't exist. So there's some of that there. But I don't know. I thought this was a neat thing. I can see a lot of I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of my action friends hated this. But, a lot of my action friends don't like Frank Miller especially, and they don't like Edgar Wright, and they don't like a lot of things that kind of come off that very bombastic tit. So, like, but I did enjoy this. Like, to say that it is lesser action is not an insult in a world where The Night Comes for Us and John Wick 2 exists, like...
Yeah, it went in comparison to that. It doesn't compare. And by the way, is the Black Kaiser.
Thank you. Kaiser Sose.
But I would agree with that. I think that, does this movie push action movies forward? No. Does it have some pretty decent shootouts? Yeah. Like, nothing you haven't seen before. But I think that scene in the hallway when he was escaping from imprisonment, I thought was pretty inspired. And I don't know that I've seen, like, well, I shouldn't say that because it is done in some of the Raid movies, but it was some good body shield play, I would say.
Yeah.
I think that it was some inventive way to use, human shields, which I thought was pretty cool. Like, I love when he picked him up in a fireman's carry and was, like, shooting like that. So I thought there was some cool stuff in terms of that. And I will say one of the coolest scenes was that warehouse scene when they tracked him on phone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that scene was, it didn't really do anything outstanding action-wise, but the setup, I thought that whole thing was just fucking... I was like, yeah, like, it was a big fist pump moment, It
was right out of a 1980s Punisher comic.
You know what?
Yeah,
everyone,
I can see that.
Do yourselves a favor. If you haven't seen this movie and haven't seen the trailer, don't watch the trailer.
Right.
Just watch the movie.
I agree.
Because that scene was ruined for me by the fact that I watched the trailer.
Oh, that's a bummer. Aries, I'm curious to see what you think, because I know you're a big fan of Frank Miller and Sin City, and and that's sort of like in the DNA of this.
Oh yeah, like I said, this movie, it did itself an injustice by not making that fact known, because there was a lot of little things that happened that, in hindsight, seeing that the Frank Miller aspect of it, because it really doesn't become 100% clear until probably about halfway through the movie, with the escape scene and then the trailer scene just locked it in.
Yep.
Texas.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
so Miller.
Yeah.
Even
yeah.
even the grotesqueness of that character was so Miller.
Yes. Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
But looking back at everything that happened before then, you could see why it happened, and little things that it's like, okay, that's very Frank Miller. That's you can see that, you can understand that, you can appreciate that, but in the moment, it's like, why? You fail to see the motivation, and the first instinct of that was the first kill where they're stalking up on someone. They have guns on the person. He moves. Someone lowers his gun, picks up a dumbbell, and throws it.
Right.
Yeah.
And the rational world, it's like you're going to throw a dumbbell rather than pull a trigger. But in the Frank Miller world, that makes complete sense.
Right. Yeah.
And it 100% works. And watching that scene, it annoyed me. Looking back at that scene, I love it.
Right. Yeah, I agree 110%. Like, I think if I was to put something on it, I would say Try Hardy. Like, that's how I felt initially. Like, it reminded me of, and I've learned to love this film, but it reminded me of, not Smoking Aces. I can't remember the fucking name of it. I'll figure it out. Maybe it is Smoking Aces. No, because that's the Josh Hartnett movie.
Shoot 'em up?
Nope. It's like that though. I'll find it. It's like a big ensemble cast though, and it's like at a big shootout at the end in a hotel, and it's all these gangs like trying.
Oh,
to
I know which one you're talking about. I can't think of the
Yeah.
name of it, but I know what you're talking about.
What's his name? From
Okay, just look it up and let me ramble.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't read. I don't read.
You like my MZ impersonation?
I don't read any Frank Miller. Okay, so I have no idea what you guys are talking about as far as any tropes that he puts in his novels go.
You've seen the Sin City movies, right? Or have you?
Yeah. No. Oh, yeah. I've seen those.
So it's just as a basis, so that's worth.
And that's pretty spot on.
Yep.
All right. But when you were talking about the dumbbell, it just made me remember it, and I'm like, yeah, that was pretty fucking stupid.
I did like it though. It made me chuckle.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're going for laughs, then yeah, okay. It's if you're going for like a little wise ass moment, then sure, I guess it works. But I would think that in the world of the assassination game, all bets are off, and the time to fuck around isn't while you're trying to get the job done. There's one scene that I saw during the escape, where one of the, I guess you could call Blut's henchmen. What's his character's name? Duncan. Duncan's like, he's all by himself. He's walking down a hallway, and off to the right is all of a sudden one of the henchmen comes over and just sucker punches him. And I'm thinking to myself, the guy's got a fucking gun in his hand. Why is he not blasting away?
Or you save bullets.
Save bullets. He's right there.
They come out of the payroll checks.
It's like chairs in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla.
They spent a lot of bullets in this movie. A couple more ain't gonna kill him. And I'm thinking to myself, why didn't they just blow him away? I mean, so I figured that with that, along with what you just mentioned, to be sort of like a low point in the film, like it didn't retain any kind of reality for me, because the movie doesn't feel like one of those snazzy one-liners, like you would find in Predator or something like that. This I felt that this was, trying to be a pretty serious, not although kind of light assassination movie.
So the big fucking boner scene at the beginning didn't tip you off, right? You thought that this was fucking the somber South Korean affair.
I mean,
it's Johnny Knoxville. What do you expect to happen?
Exactly. Johnny Knoxville's in it.
So? Vanessa Hudgens is in it. What is that supposed to prove?
At this point in the movie, your suspension of disbelief should have already been established that someone that close is going to swing that shoot. By the simple fact that he has someone on his back and that every bullet hits the corpse rather than him.
He was all by himself.
Yeah, but
he wasn't
I
carrying
know what you're talking about exactly.
But I'm just speaking in general. That right before that, he had someone on his shoulder covering a third of him. And every bullet hit the corpse rather than him.
And the other guy thought he had the jump on him. Like he came up and he thought he had the jump on him.
And what looks cooler?
Yeah, if thinking about filmmaking terms, like in
filmmaking terms, well, sure. I mean, every movie has to have that.
Look how boring a real fight is.
Every movie has to have that, sure, just to keep the pace going. But
so what are you jibber-jabbing about?
I'm not jibber-jabbing. I'm telling you that I think if you're gonna kill somebody, you kill them. You know, or or at least take out their legs
and then the credits roll. Okay. Movie's over.
Yeah. If you want a reality-based movie, you got a 5-minute movie.
That's all, folks.
You know what this movie needs? On the Monster Zero chat is killing more kids.
That's what I think. I think that's what it did. It kind of dropped the ball in that situation.
Yeah, but what do you do? Do you just not have that?
Oh my God!
Are you gonna wait? Are you gonna split hairs at the sheer luck that
this
the
movie
first bullet
brought
didn't
to you
kill
by
him?
Sugar
Wait,
Snaps.
I can't hear you. Some assholes yapping.
Are you gonna split hairs that the first bullet didn't kill him? That it was sheer luck. That was luck. He didn't die with the first bullet.
Oh, that's sure.
That doesn't bother you?
When you get hit by a bullet, I imagine it's you have a 50-50 chance of surviving, right?
No. He was dead in the sights. They had however long, a minute, 2 minutes to pull that trigger.
Wait, which scene? I'm
the
trying to
first
remember.
Bullet that was aimed for him that missed.
I'm trying to remember the scene.
When he's fucking the girl.
Oh, you're talking about
the cabin.
Okay.
I'm going back.
All right.
The first bullet that should have killed him.
Yeah. Okay. Now I remember.
That was sheer luck. That doesn't bother you? That it was 2 minutes worth of trigger time, and the one time she moves, she gets hit.
Shit happens.
That doesn't bother you, but someone punching rather than shooting—that's where you're drawing your line.
If you're in close range, I mean, you're talking about point. I'm talking point blank.
Okay, how do you know that guy didn't waste all his bullets? That he shot all his rounds and he was just holding his gun as a weapon.
Was there any establishing shot for that? I don't recall.
Everyone else in the hallway was pulling the trigger.
All right, so
we don't have the time to argue about this.
I know this is ridiculous.
I mean, look at UFC Monster Zero. Just look at it this way, right?
Why am I arguing with you cunts?
It's boring, right? Like two guys fall on the ground, one guy gets up. That's why pro wrestling is so fucking cool.
Deal with a simple. You can't even deal with a simple gunfight
because it's not simple.
You're the one with the trouble with this.
Yeah.
I'm not having a trouble with it. Yeah. I'm just expressing the fact that I think it was a low point in maintaining a sense of reality.
Monster Zero, what if he threw the gun away instead of fucking a dog?
Oh my God! Please.
What the hell is his problem?
I think it's you.
It's not.
So let me just ask MC, how would you have fixed that? Would you not even have had that guy come at him? Because obviously he's not going to shoot him, because then the fucking movie's over. How do you rectify it?
I don't know. I'm not the director.
Maybe you should be.
No, I shouldn't be directing anything.
Yeah, the things you would direct, I don't think should be out in the world. So I don't even know where to fucking go from there. So, talking about some of the action scenes, the gunplay was fine. Nothing outstanding. We're not talking about John Woo gunfights or anything like that. There wasn't much action to speak of in terms of, like crazy choreography or anything like that. I thought there was some cool stuff in this. I especially liked the scene when the assassins came to his cabin. Like, I thought that whole scene was pretty cool.
It was great looking.
And it showed how like just how much better he was than they were. It showed that he was a seasoned vet and they were like the young upstarts. So I thought that was really fun. He got the jump on pretty much all of them, and even that scene when he saw the breath in the scope, I thought that was fucking awesome.
And it showed how fucking evil he was too, like how he fucking made these people who kill for a living's blood run cold as soon as he grabbed that fucking headset. Like
yeah, exactly. So, it's I think the portrayal of a cold-blooded killer was right on. Like that's Duncan embodied that, and he and he hesitated to get close to anyone. And then when he met, trying to remember her name, it was
Camille.
Yes, yeah, Vanessa Hudgens' character, Camille.
Well, I didn't even realize that was Vanessa Hudgens.
I don't really know her, so what would people know her from?
She was in what the hell was
High School Musical 3? Spring Breakers?
No, Spring Breakers. Yeah, she was in that. Not a very good movie, but still plenty of eye candy.
Let's see. She played Betty Rizzo in Grease Live, the TV movie. She was in Freaks of Nature, Mars. You saw that, right?
Yeah, that movie was fucking dope.
She played Lorelai in that.
I don't remember.
Machete Kills. She was in that.
Oh yeah.
So she's been in a pretty good amount of stuff.
That's
here.
a very underrated horror comedy.
Oh, she played Blondie in Sucker Punch.
Oh wow, really?
I like that movie. I know everybody else fucking hates it, but
I like it.
Talk about try hardy, but like I mean that's a fucking textbook case of like how much shit I love that you can cram into a shitty movie and I'm okay. Schoolgirl outfits, fucking swords, robots, perfect Nazis, all my fucking favorite
Machete
things.
Kills, yeah.
Not that I like to see Nazis get killed. I mean,
this is her right here, the one in the middle.
Yeah, not that I'm on to zero. Yeah, that movie's fun.
All right, yeah, that's cool. I didn't recognize her. She looked different. And I actually didn't even recognize Catherine Winnick at first when she had the wig on, the black wig when she first met Duncan. I didn't even recognize her with that. So it's a pretty. I mean, like it's not like a ridiculous cast, but it's a pretty good cast. Like with Vanessa Hudgens and Mads Mikkelsen, Catherine Winnick. Robert Millett. Not that he's a
Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah, Richard Dreyfuss. So it had a pretty cool cast, and it's one of the things that obviously Netflix purchased this after the fact. So when they were making this movie, they didn't know it was going to be a Netflix exclusive. They were just making a movie thinking it probably would be in theaters or something like that. But so the movie got funded and then was playing at festivals, and Netflix ended up acquiring the rights to it and everything. So. But it's one of those deals that you just never know. So, like it had some pretty good star power to it, and I think that's one of the things that Netflix is doing is they're getting some pretty good star power behind a lot of their flicks.
Yeah,
whether it's
sure.
whether it's with the director or even some of the cast. So,
well, I think that it's a benefit of how it's symptomatic of the. And I realize that I've changed sides on this argument, so feel free to call me a hypocrite, but it's symptomatic of the Star Wars, Marvel, Disney cycle, right? There are just fucking less movies that are getting made otherwise, that have a market, that have a fucking, that people can get paid for, There's probably a lot of passion projects. There's probably no shortage of that, but, Netflix is buying films that otherwise would have come out in the theaters in a lot of cases,
Yeah, because I totally could have seen this playing in a theater, and this probably would have been a pretty cool experience.
It's not as bombastic as a Mission Impossible movie, but it's definitely on par with John Wick,
Yeah,
not as good, but I mean, what the fuck?
Sure.
I still haven't even seen John Wick yet.
You'll cry. Well, maybe not.
And there was actually, speaking of John Wick, there was one scene in this where I was
think I know you're gonna go to.
And I had a feeling it was going to happen with Rusty.
Yeah,
Rusty the dog. Yeah.
Oh, that poor little pup.
Which I guess, like, I typically hate those sorts of scenes, but in this, it sort of just gave you more insight into Duncan, which I thought was kind of an interesting way of doing it. I
think I missed it.
Yeah, he was having
Missed it?
Yeah, he was in his chair. He's having like flashbacks.
Oh yeah.
So he adopted a dog,
right?
And then literally the first night that he had the dog, he accidentally shot it because it woke him up from his sleep.
Yeah, it was still in try hardy for me then, kind of like it was still like a gag too far. Like I hadn't caught the thing of the tone yet. So.
Yeah.
Cute little pup too.
Yeah.
Oh, that I gotta say that's the first time a dog death like that kind of bugged me.
So I guess that's a trigger warning for people who it's not gratuitous and it's more or less like you don't see it, but you hear it. So for anyone who's just not into that, there's a quick little thing that that might bum you out. but it's fairly early on, and it's also very quick, so it doesn't linger on it or anything like that. It's not like, not like the John Wick or other things like that. So,
and it's not like it helps, not that it helps, but I mean, you don't get to know the dog all that much.
Yeah.
No.
So.
I mean, you will fucking not be okay with John Wick. Like I didn't, I didn't see it for 2 years. Like,
yeah,
I got some sort of sexy JK ultimatum, I think, to make me see it. But
and I love that scene. So, man, I keep forgetting her name. Vanessa Hudgens' character, Camille. She basically, convinces Duncan to go talk to kids in class, and then he's talking about like his job, and he's passing around a kukri and showing kids how to like slice people's throats, and it was pretty. And he was so serious about it, so deadpan. It was really pretty funny.
There's a fucking line in that involves like photographs. That
yes.
literally had me like almost falling out of my chair.
Yeah. So it's a pretty outrageous scene. It's pretty funny. And also one thing we didn't really mention is that this film is very stylish and colorful. Like it felt like a comic book, which is interesting because, as I mentioned, this comic book is actually just black, white, and red. So I just thought it was interesting. It gave it the sort of full color palette, and it felt like a comic book because it was very colorful and and I appreciated that about it. And also I think that obviously the film's called Polar. And I think they did a good job of showing the cold and the winter and, up in Montana. And there's a couple really cool drone scenes with this establishing shots, especially at the beginning and showing Duncan's residence. And at the end, I thought there was just some cool stuff with that. And I know we talk about drone shots here and there where they're used a little bit too excessively at times, but I thought that it was tastefully done in this. And if anything, it really sort of helped the movie in some cases. But I think my favorite scene is probably that hallway scene where he's using the human shields, and also the warehouse scene, which like Ari said, it does get a little bit spoiled in the trailer, but which just was so fucking cool. Like I just thought that was so badass. So, anything else you guys want to discuss before we head to a verdict on this one?
The one thing I will say that bothered me about this is I thought the explanation of why this was happening was a little too redundant. They explained it, and then they went and the villain explained it to his board or whatever they are.
Yeah.
And so the audience would understand. And then a half hour later, the hero gets explained to him. It was just a little too redundant. That one of those probably could have been cut out.
Yeah. I guess I would agree with that. I did notice that as well. So I don't know if that was just a continuity thing where they just maybe forgot to cut. I doubt they forgot to cut something out, but
I mean,
just redundant.
Yeah, I mean, because you had the whole Richard Dreyfuss, which was a great cameo.
Yeah,
and he was half of that problem, and he did have his other half of his scene was a little bit kind of important, so it'd be a little difficult to eliminate.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, well, let's go to a verdict on this one.
Trick or treat, baby.
I wonder if people would say you're a trick or a treat.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
All right, it is verdict time. We're going to let you know whether this flick is a trick or a treat. Any final thoughts we may have? Aries.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, there were small little things, but all in all, this very enjoyable movie. If sex and violence is your type of movie, this is your type of movie. So check this out. This is definitely a treat.
All right, MZ.
Well, I mean...
Well, let me... So
they made a movie. They made a movie.
Let me tell you something, brother.
Yeah.
You know what I thought about this movie?
Yeah.
I thought this was a fucking good movie, man.
Welp.
Tell him, Mars.
I thought you got a promo.
Well.
Oh, shit.
Well, they made a movie. Raven Shadow's not here, so somebody's got to say it. They made a movie. No, I really enjoyed this. This is pretty highly stylized and very colorful, as it was mentioned before, and I tend to agree with that. Very awesome. I felt the ending was a bit telegraphed.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't.
I kind of
That's
caught
interesting.
I caught on to what the ending was about.
right.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe.
And you're talking about the reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I would say maybe 35 minutes in.
Wow. Okay.
40 minutes in.
Okay.
But that does not mean. But that's only because as I'm watching, I'm thinking, and maybe that's not the way to go. Maybe the best way to go about it is just to sit back and just enjoy this flick, because there is a lot to like here. I think Mads was really great as Duncan Vizsla. Very reclusive, very I guess stoic would be the word. I'm not entirely sure. Would that be the right word?
Yeah, it is stoic. Yeah.
Stoic. Okay, stoic.
Stoic is the Swedish version.
Da. And and a lot of gunplay, a lot of violence, and you even get to see Kurgan taking a shit. So
maybe he just sits down to pee. You don't know.
Well, maybe he does. I don't know.
He peed for a while then.
Yeah, he had an ogre piss going on. But seriously, this I thought this was a fun flick, a good flick, a very good movie. I recommend it. This is a treat.
All right, Mars Man.
It's actually something that I did mean to bring up. There was the hotel scene definitely showed the camaraderie, like how these people just fucking live together, and there's no like how they were almost like a family. I felt like that was a nice understated touch, like that didn't really matter, but it was like just a flourish, and it was a little flavoring, a little paprika in a scene that didn't need it. They had their own junkie and people were taking dumps. It was nice. But like I said, I didn't like this at first, but it certainly grew on me. I will say that this film is a little tonally herky-jerky, but it succeeds more than it fails. I think the greatest triumph of a film like John Wick or The Night Comes For Us or even The Raid, which I'm technically not allowed to talk about anymore, is that it manages to take this outlandish tone and like present it very earnestly. This film was swayed between very earnest and very ludicrous. It almost had a bit of a old boy element to it in its more earnest parts, and then a fucking Smoking Aces was the film I was looking for in its more bombastic part. So I enjoyed this film. I would definitely recommend it. There's it's not a very big buy-in on Netflix. I would, if you haven't watched The Night Comes For Us or Headshot or the John Wick films, like, I think that watching this first is the best order to go. But this is definitely a treat. It's it's I know I'm giving it with veiled insults, but it's definitely a fun movie that excels in the fact that it almost didn't work.
All right. So for me, this was also a treat. I thought it was a very stylized, fun assassin thriller with some good performances and cool characters. I think the action definitely could have been better. It didn't really do much to push that forward, but I don't think it really even tried to. So it's not like it failed. It just, it just did what it did. But I think there's still some pretty cool, memorable scenes that when I think back on this movie in months or years, I'll remember certain scenes. So that to me is kind of a hallmark of a cool action movie. And I think that this pulled it off fairly well. I actually saw like a pretty good amount of like negative reviews about this, and I just don't really understand it. I don't know, and it's from some critics that I typically respect their opinion that just didn't like it at all. So just, interesting. So, I mean, who knows, your mileage may vary, but for a Netflix movie, you're paying, I don't know, they're raising the price. So I guess you're paying $11 to $13 or whatever, like
fucking canceling.
If they're going to keep putting out movies like this, The Night Comes for Us, Apostle, things like that, then I'm definitely, I'm in. For me, I'm definitely in. So I don't mind if they raise the money a little bit by $2 if they're going to be putting out quality content, and I think this is part of it. So, and if you do like that, Sin City, Frank Miller sort of vibe, I think you'll probably dig this a lot. So, if you guys want to, go ahead and check it out. It's on Netflix. So treats all around for Polar. I'm actually kind of bummed out that Raven Shadow wasn't here because there's actually a movie coming out, I think next week or already has come out with Mads Mikkelsen called Arctic. And I was gonna fuck with him, but we didn't get that opportunity, unfortunately. So there you go. So if you guys want to, check it out on Netflix. That's our discussion on Polar. Now, next week, we're sticking with Netflix. And this is a film that's coming out, well, if you're listening to this with us live, it is coming out tomorrow on Friday, February 1st. And that would be the next film from Dan Gilroy, and it is Velvet Buzzsaw. And this film looks pretty interesting. I don't know if you guys have seen the trailer. It is a horror thriller from Dan Gilroy, who he did the movie Nightcrawler. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend that. And this film also stars Jake Gyllenhaal, who Mars likes to refer to as Jerk Gyllenhaal, right?
What a fucking dick.
Boo.
Why? You don't like Jake Gyllenhaal?
I like Jake Gyllenhaal about as much as I like a fucking exploding committee of koala.
Man, he was in Bubble Boy. What? How can you?
Yeah, what's your problem
guy?
with Jake Gyllenhaal, man?
Not the good boy in the bubble with John Travolta and Tawny Katang.
What's your problem with him?
I don't like him.
Why?
I just think he's a jerk.
He is a jerk.
Was he mean to your boy there, Ryan Gosling?
He couldn't fucking carry Ryan's fucking guitar into the building.
Is it because he was Donnie Darko?
I fucking hate Donnie Darko.
I know you do. Is that why?
I want to pee in Donnie Darko's eyes. I fucking hate it.
But is that why?
No, I just don't like the cut of his jeans.
You gotta have a reason.
I don't have to have a reason.
Yes, you do.
I
Yeah,
like
you
his
do.
sister very much.
So why don't you like him?
Because I don't know. They have the same face, but she has a much prettier version of it. He's just not a good. I don't like him. I don't like his shtick.
He plays Mysterio.
Yeah, it's like low rent Tobey Maguire.
Well, that's
all
a bunch
right.
of bullshit.
Well, it also features John Malkovich, Rene Russo, Toni Collette.
Yes, Toni Collette.
And it looks like Pat Healy's in it as well. So pretty cool cast. It looks like a pretty crazy movie. And to help us digest this film and to help us discuss it, we're going to be joined by Mars. What are you doing the Cabbage Patch? What are you doing?
Excited dances.
Why are you excited?
Because I am.
Because of our guest next week?
Yeah, you're probably gonna be stuck in the bathroom at that point. Anyway.
So joining us next week, someone who just did the 250th episode of his own podcast a couple weeks back in mid-January. That would be our boy, one of the five horsemen, Jakey Poo from the Cult of Muscle.
Reunited and it feels so good.
I do not hate him, Mars.
Whatever.
I invited him.
It only took like 70, 80 episodes for him to come back.
I don't know about that.
Whatever. I love him.
I know you do.
Man.
We're gonna see him in a couple
He
weeks.
is a
You're gonna give him
tremendous
you're gonna give him a big smooch and a kiss.
Yeah. I'm going to fucking get beard oil all over my face. It's going to be nice. I cannot wait. I love him with a love that is hard to describe.
Oh my god,
He
this is
such
creepy.
a fucking good guy. Whatever.
Whatever.
You and fucking Jerk Gyllenhaal couldn't carry Jakey's bags in the building full of his delicious smelling beard oil.
I think Jakey likes Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, well, nobody's perfect. There's always, that's what Coop's for.
I mean, they both have the same first name.
Exactly. So
No, Jake's name is spelled with an E at the end of it.
what?
2 E's.
What?
Jake E.
All right. Yeah. So next week, Velvet Buzzsaw. That's what we're going to do. If you guys want to go ahead and check it out on Netflix starting on February 1st and leave us your thoughts, please be our guest. And you can go ahead and leave a voice message or an email, podcast@trickortreatradio.com. We'd love to hear from you.
I feel like Velvet Buzzsaw was on the fucking dry erase board at Holy Cross when we were trying to name the record.
You think so?
That was one of the dumb, pretentious goth names we came up with. Not the worst one, mind you. I won't repeat the worst one, but it was Monster Zero level of bad.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so we only have one voicemail, so we're gonna start winding things down here.
Things that go so much quicker when we don't have to fucking accommodate Mr. Frump and his iron lung down there at the end of the table.
Well, last week we did it under 3 hours.
Yeah, that's because we had to.
And I think we're getting close to 3 hours now. So next week, Jakey Poo is joining us to do Velvet Buzzsaw. We'd love to hear from you guys if you guys want to go ahead and leave us your thoughts about Velvet Buzzsaw, or I don't know if you have any thoughts for Jakey. Jakey usually hangs out all episodes, so if you guys want or questions about Cult of Muscle, anything like it, or just action movies. Jakey loves action, and he loves. He probably knows more about like Asian cinema than
crazy.
All of us combined.
It's crazy. The best gift I've ever probably gotten is I found it by accident. Is on the server of films he gave me.
Yep.
Is like the complete run of Podcasts Without Honor and Humanity.
Yeah, his old show.
So
yeah.
like I love that show, and I love to be able to pop it on and give it a listen. So talks about cooking stuff a lot, which I also enjoy. But yeah, like he is a fucking great guy, and if you've never listened to Cult of Muscle, even if you're not a giant action fan, like, just fucking check it out and listen to the beginning where they talk about what they're watching, and, like, those two are fucking hilarious. I highly recommend it. CDR is my brother from another mother, my spirit animal as well, so that's a fucking tandem you never knew you wanted. So.
And on episode 250, I believe... Oh, no, that wasn't the one. They do their year in review. That was episode 251. Where they had our boy Nathan Cotton Coy Vance Duke on.
Nice.
And they did their top 20 films of 2018, the top 5 worst films, and the top 20 first-time watches. So if you guys want to hear that, it's a beast. Let's see. Yeah, that's a long one. So it's almost 4 hours.
But 4 hours of ecstasy with that crap.
All right, so... That's going to wrap up the film discussion. We have one voice message.
I just fucking changed my mind, actually.
You don't want Jakey on?
No, he can come on, but we got to talk. When's the last time I was on that fucking show?
Oh,
I remember. Let's see if he does.
True.
It was about fucking 50 episodes ago.
Was Jakey not even on that one?
No, he was there. We switched at some point, and like it became me and Jakey instead of me and CDR, so it was weird.
All right, we have one voice message, and it is from Leanna. So let's check it out.
Guys, I bet you're surprised to be hearing from me in a voice chat after so long, but the reason I haven't been able to join in on the chats, both live and hear the voice chats, is because my life is kind of really filled by horror now. So, number one, I'm working on a graduate paper to get into graduate school. It's about lesbian vampires.
Nice.
And basically about how they evolved from making lesbians into monstrous figures in real life into power fantasies for lesbians. Number two, I started a new blog. My new blog is called Intersections in the Darkest Visions. I analyze and review horror literature through the lens of an intersectional feminist. It's going really well. So far, I've done Clickers by Jeff Gonzalez, She Said Destroy by Nadia Bolkin, various short stories, a vampire anthology, and more on that blog. I'm actually really happy with it. Like, I've always wanted to do something like this for the horror genre, because I've always noticed when it comes to horror literature that compared to other speculative fiction genres, horror is really behind the times in terms of who's getting promoted, who's being published, what kind of stories are getting out there. So I kind of started the blog to sort of help with that. And so between reading for that blog, reading for my paper, watching movies, and of course the release of the new Resident Evil game. I've kind of had my hands full, on top of just doing my own like personal writing for my own career. So that's why I've been so busy. I hope you guys are doing okay. I hope the polar vortex isn't getting you too bad. I know that it's bigger in the Midwest right now, but you're all the way up in Boston. Good luck on your show. Good luck on these reviews. I hope you guys don't get too many shitty movies in the beginning of the year like last year, because I remember there was like a full front, like 3 bad movies in a row in the beginning of last year.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I hope it's been much better. So
I think so.
Have fun, guys.
All right, Leanna, thanks for checking in. And, you know, we know how it goes. Things get busy. Like, we never, like, ever fault anyone or get upset if anyone can't hang out for a bit. But it's always nice when people can pop in, and it seems like you have been busy. And I pulled up Leanna's blog here. Let's see. It is darkintersections.wordpress.com.
Can't wait to dig into that.
Yeah, I think it sounds really interesting. I don't know, like, and I'm not trying to sound like a jerk, but I don't know if you guys know what intersectional, like what that means in terms of like feminism and you know, it is pretty interesting, and it's not something I was even aware of maybe a year or two ago. So it's interesting that she's doing this, and it's analyzing horror through intersectional feminism. So pretty cool stuff. I definitely will dig into that, and I'm sure some of our listeners will be interested in checking out. So darkintersections.wordpress.com is where you can find Leanna's blog, and sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, and I say it all the time. If you never listen to anything we or me or these guys do again, and it's because you're doing other awesome things, like putting other group things into the ether, you know, I'm in full support of that. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I don't know how you can find me, but drop me a line. It is like the only reason it's actually it's going to come out 2 weeks late because of I'm running on Deadites time, but I am putting out a short story anthology, so you know, hit me or Julie Meow Meows up, and maybe for the next one, or if you even have something done, you know, hit us up. Like you're more than welcome to help do some scary stuff for a good cause, but
yeah.
Definitely hit us up. I would love to read anything that you created.
And Creepy Girl in the chat room says, "Dang it, camera's blurry. Can't see my MZ clearly."
That's weird.
Oh, I don't know why it's blue. It looks
doesn't look
fine
blurry.
here,
Yeah,
so I don't know.
Because he needs to go back in time and make sure his parents kiss.
Leanna says, "Down, girl."
That's what she has in mind, I think.
Creepy Girl wants to know what the hell a kukri is, and it is a curved blade. I'm actually not. I don't want to get it wrong, but it's sort of its area of origin, I believe, is like a Middle Eastern country. Is
like
where
a scimitar almost.
Well, it's like a straight blade that looks like it has like.
Dude, I know what a fucking
no, I know
kukri
you
is.
do.
Who are
I'm
you
trying to
talking
I'm trying to explain to the folks out
It's
there.
kind of shaped like a boomerang.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It's like a boomerang with that's a blade with a handle.
A tomahawk, for God's sakes. Because I thought that fucking people were going to try to kill me.
Leanna also says, "Yeah, I can't believe Raven Shadow wasn't here. I missed our furniture fucking window pissing dweeb." Wow. All right.
I feel like we had a very good interview.
She put it better than any of us.
Me and Montezero were exposed a bit, but that's fine.
Leanna says every episode has one moment where Mars regains enough energy to rant about something.
I don't remember.
Evil Corny says, "I never really liked Donnie Darko either, Mars."
No, thank you, Corny.
And Leanna says, "Oh, damn, that's awesome, Mars."
I am
Talking
fucking.
about the story.
I'll tell you this, I am rotten with energy. That's one thing I don't have. Fucking.
You're rotten?
Yeah, like I can't sleep. Fucking need to walk around all the time. I was talking on the phone with El Goro. I think I had to sit down because I was making too much noise. Like,
all right,
bored. That's different. Bored is different. Or
yes. So that is, I believe that's going to do it here. So the big takeaways from today were El Goro gonna be at the Deadites 25th anniversary celebration. April 12th and 13th.
It's gonna be so fucking cool.
We want people to come.
Yeah.
Like, if you guys are on the fence, just fucking come. There's going to be awesome stuff. Like, if you were on the fence before, you know that El Goro's going to be there.
Right.
And Bill's going to be there because he's showing his fucking movie, Survival of the Film
And
Freaks,
we're gonna
that
have
Mars and I were in.
meetups and other stuff and other cool stuff going on. So like it's not going to be just even those 2 nights. We're going to try to.
We'll make it a weekend.
Yeah, we're gonna make you. We're at your disposal that weekend. And here's the thing. Who fucking is brazen enough to do that? Like, we are fucking maniacs. Like, we're fucking putting our balls and our wallets on the line here. And, like, we're doing it to give you something entertaining. I mean, I get to hang out with Donna Matrix and Wolfie and Tiny and Aries and sometimes Monster Zero all the time. So, like, I don't have to fucking book a room in a mansion in a fancy theater screening room to hang out with them. So, like, we're doing this for you guys. In a thank you for supporting something that I've done most of my life and for the last 5 or 6 years, however long we've been doing this. So
Evil Corner says, nice. I still don't know if I can make it there in April or not.
Well, you'll never see your stuff again then.
It's hostage.
Your stuff depends on it, Corny. It's hostage.
You show up or the poster gets it.
Yeah. All right, so that is going to do it. Let's go around the room and say our goodbyes. MZ. Aries.
Goodbye.
Raven Shadow.
Live fast, die hard, die with your mask on.
What? How many times you dying?
Yeah, not enough. Oh, my Lord.
All right, Mars.
Remember, children, wherever you go, there you are.
All right. Thank you to everyone who tuned in for episode 340 of Trick or Treat Radio. Big thanks to Bill by Force. Everyone, if you can, go check out the midnight screening at the Coolidge Corner Theater of Survival of the Film Freaks. And also big thanks to Michael Neal for coming and hanging out with us. He's got some exciting stuff going on, and he's got his premiere February 15th at the Sci-Fi Festival in Boston, or I guess in Somerville, technically, the Somerville Theater. So also give that a look. Check those out. We appreciate those guys giving their time, hanging out with us. And also to all of you for tuning in and checking us out. We appreciate it. So for all of us here at Castle Wolfenstein, we'll see you next week for episode 341, where we got Jakey Poo coming, and we're going to be talking about Velvet Buzzsaw. We'll see you then.